41 by the Dayton Mall. The guys will recap the biggest games from college football Saturday, including your Ohio State Buckeyes. The guys will also get you set up for the day's biggest NFL matchups, featuring your Cleveland Browns, Cincinnati Bengals, and more. It's the Sunday Morning Tailgate Show, live from Frickers on 741. Sunday mornings at 11:30 on 1410 ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Kev Nash, you and I have been doing this show for a little over a year now.
Mm-hmm.
And in that year, over a year, I've defended OBJ. I've said, look, he's done all the right things. Has it worked out on the field? No, but he's very supportive in the locker room. You could tell in the media when he talks to the media afterwards. Never throws guys under the bus. He's never been that distraction that everyone has been accusing him of, and I believe I've been right up until this point. It has reached a boiling point, and I believe it has boiled over. Now, I will say this. Everything that is transpiring right now with Odell Beckham Jr. and the Cleveland Browns, it is not all on Odell Beckham Jr. There is blame on Baker Mayfield. This isn't going to be me opening up the show and saying Baker's great, OBJ sucks, and he's the problem. No, everyone shares a role in the dysfunction with the Cleveland Browns right now. But I will say that, so with that, yes, blame's on Baker, blame's on Stefanski, the Browns organization as a whole, blame on OBJ. The one thing I have to keep pounding the table on, OBJ is not the victim here. Nothing is happening to OBJ. Okay, that's the problem I'm having with all of this. You have LeBron James, you have all these people who are opening their mouth about this, and oh, poor OBJ. We got to free OBJ because that's LeBron's answer to everything. When something goes wrong, leave Cleveland, right? Like that's LeBron's method to everything. But OBJ at this exact point right here, I have a hard time buying into the narrative that he is this fantastic, great receiver, and that Cleveland just doesn't know how to use him. That Cleveland just does not know how to use him. I can't buy into that. I do not buy into the fact that he is so great and that Cleveland is just so embarrassingly bad that they don't even know how to use a wide receiver. That doesn't make any sense. Here's the other part of that. I truly believe that if that narrative was true, that the Browns don't know how to use him, then why aren't more teams lining up to get him?
Mm-hmm.
Because if the narrative truly was, if teams around the National Football League actually believed that he was an elite talent that was just being held under the thumb of Baker and the Browns offense, then teams would be lining up because they feel like, well, OBJ's elite. He's just not being used properly. We got to get him out of that hellhole. And then all of a sudden he'll emerge back to being this star in the NFL. That's what I keep trying to push through to people. Is Cleveland perfect? No. Is Baker perfect? No. Stefanski perfect? No. But OBJ is beyond far from perfect. He is not an elite receiver right now. Maybe he goes to another offense and changes scenery and it opens up. But let's be clear. If teams who right now at the deadline, 4:00, and the Browns have come out and said they're not going to trade him. But teams at the deadline, you got to understand the teams at the deadline making moves as far as taking on talent, they're taking on talent to give them that final push for the stretch run. We're heading into the final half of the regular season. The teams who want talent are the teams that are like, okay, we're good. We're in the playoff hunt now. We need that one guy that's going to put us over the top. Think about all the names that are available at the trade deadline right now. Wouldn't an elite wide receiver help a lot of teams? Wouldn't the Green Bay Packers go from a one of the contending teams in the NFC to the contending teams in the NFC if they went and got OBJ? Yep. Right? Like, we got to stop with this. If a team truly believed that OBJ was elite, they would go get him. Now, here's what I would be hit with. Well, they don't want to take on that contract. I don't think many people wanted Von Miller's contract either. But you know what? The team that was said, hey, we're the Rams. We're good. We have Aaron Donald. We have Jalen Ramsey. But you know what? We can't just settle with that. We got to go one step further. We'll make it work. We got to crunch what we got to crunch. We got to give up more draft picks. So be it. We got to do. If a team is desperate enough, if a team truly believes that talent is worth it, they will take on an old, aged veteran like Von Miller and everything that comes with it if they truly wanted to. If a team really wanted OBJ, they would go get him. If they truly believe that he is a great talent and that the only reason he's not producing is because of the Browns, they would go get him. So I don't believe that narrative that OBJ is bad because of the Browns. I believe that it's in a pie chart, there would be big chunks of that pie chart to hand out to Baker, to Stefanski, and to OBJ. This is just a conglomerate of a lot of it's just a big mess, Kev. Like, I don't think it's one person in particular. Aaron Rodgers, if he's the quarterback of the Browns, I honestly don't think that all of a sudden OBJ becomes great. All right, because OBJ's dropping passes as well. People keep forgetting that. LeBron forgets that. I know LeBron's answer to everything is leave Cleveland. But at the end of the day, the hashtag free OBJ, I think Cleveland, the problem I have is that Cleveland does not agree with him on that. I think they should have either outright released him or traded him for a bag of potatoes. I don't really care what they would have got for him in return, Kev. Yesterday, my tone has changed because I was adamant against moving him if all you're going to get is a 5th-round pick, because I believe there was always the chance of him helping you. With the videos that surfaced today, with the comments that are going on, like, LeBron's not tweeting that unless he's talked to OBJ, right? Like, his dad's not releasing those videos unless he got the green light from OBJ. I highly doubt that his dad would push that out there without his son's consent. I'm not saying it couldn't have happened, but his dad's been fueled with anger. He's getting the information from his own son. Like, trust me, he feels validated by doing this. LeBron has had forever to tweet this out. There's a reason he tweeted it out today. So let's just be clear. There's a lot of problems in Cleveland. OBJ, you are part of the problem. You are not the victim. That's all I got to say about that.
So OBJ's dad, Odell Beckham Sr., former running back at LSU, was at LSU when Shaq was there. So he tweets out or Instagrams this video, this 11-minute long video of all the times OBJ was quote unquote wide open and Baker didn't hit him and everything like that. And I watched probably like 6 minutes of it. And it looks like all 22 footage. You know, this isn't the stock footage that we get on TV. You know, the things that we see on TV isn't the all 22, the whole field and everything like that. So you can see the whole field at once. You're seeing what the quarterback is seeing almost. No, check that. You're seeing what the coaches are seeing from the boxes. You know, so film and everything like that. So that's one. Two, yeah, I'm with you. I'm not saying that OBJ gave his dad the green light to, drop it out there, put it out there. But he sure didn't say or hasn't taken it down. You know, he hasn't called us back like, yo, Pops, take that down. We can't have that out right now. That sure hasn't happened. So it's still out there. LeBron's tweeting everything like that. Free OBJ. And it's just like, wow. Like on trade deadline day with about 45 minutes to go until the trade deadline is officially over. Like all this stuff just starts to come out of nowhere. And like you said, he's quote unquote, for lack of a better word, been the good soldier and everything like that in front of the media and everything like that. But this is one surefire way to blow up a locker room. This is one fine, sure way to divide a locker room. I mean, we've seen this happen countless of times with a star wide receiver and a star quarterback. I mean, we saw this in Philadelphia with Donovan McNabb and Terrell Owens. You know what I'm saying? We saw this with Terrell Owens and Jeff Garcia in San Francisco. You know, so we've seen this story or this storyline play out several times. We've seen this with Antonio Brown and Big Ben. Like when teams become divided or a star receiver and a quarterback become divided, and it just destroys the locker room. It destroys the locker room because I'm 100% sure there's guys in the locker room who see what Odell Beckham's dad is seeing. And I'm sure there's people that see it, you know, the other side. Like, well, he's dropping the ball. And when he does get the opportunity, he's not making the most of his opportunity. So I'm sure it's people in that locker room, 50-50, half on this side, half on that side. And that is exactly where you don't want to be as a Browns player or fan. Like, yo, this is going to destroy the locker room. And that's going to send guys into a tailspin. Because come tomorrow, when it's time to meet with the media, they're not going to be talking about the Cincinnati Bengals game coming up, a very important game. They're going to be talking about this Instagram message that Odell Beckham's dad sent out. They're going to want to hear from Baker. They're going to want to hear from Stefanski. They're going to want to hear from Odell himself. They're going to hear from his best friend, Landry. So all these people are going to have to start speaking about this. They're going to ask about LeBron's tweet. They're going to ask about the free OBJ and everything like that. They're going to be asked about that instead of the game. And that's what everybody's focus needs to be on, the actual game. And it's not going to be there. It's not going to be there, at least when they're talking to the media, because quote unquote distraction. It's here now. It's here. It's exactly what they didn't want. It's here now.
518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. We would love to hear from you on this matter, because I've been fighting off OBJ haters for a while. And I will say this. I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of saying you guys were right about OBJ, because you guys were saying OBJ was a distraction when he was not a distraction. OBJ has just become a distraction. It's taken 2.5 years for OBJ to become a distraction. I'm telling you now, he has not been a distraction in Cleveland. The locker room, there was no issues in the locker room. Him and Baker hung out in the offseason. They worked out together in the offseason. In post games, Baker was constantly giving love to OBJ and making sure that when they were going through that run last year, post OBJ's injury, every post game, he was giving love to OBJ. He was making sure that the media narrative that OBJ makes him worse, he was making sure that he put that to bed and saying that that's not the case. OBJ was also in the media saying how much he loved Baker, how much he loved Cleveland, how much he loved the Browns offense and Stefanski. There was no, the distraction was the media trying to talk about a distraction that wasn't there. But now this is officially a distraction. Like you see, like I'm all I'm saying is yes, now it's officially come to the point to where it's no longer about football. It's now about, the last time a headline of a video being leaked like this, Kim Kardashian became famous. So like that's like how crazy this situation is. But here are the numbers that I found really interesting, Kev. Here's Baker Mayfield's passer rating when targeting various Browns receivers, tight ends over the last 2 years, last year and a half, 2020, 2021. When Baker is targeting Donovan Peoples-Jones, his passer rating is 151. When he is targeting Kareem Hunt, who was the team's leading receiver before he went down with the injury a couple weeks ago against the Cardinals, Baker Mayfield's passer rating is 126.5. His passer rating for Rashard Higgins is 126. For David Njoku, it's 114. Jarvis Landry, 107. Austin Hooper's 102. Odell Beckham Jr., 78. So every other receiver and tight end and pass catcher on the Browns roster, Baker has a passer rating over 100. OBJ is the only one that he has a passer rating below 100, below 90, below 80, like 78. All non-OBJ receivers, his passer rating is 109. Odell Beckham Jr., 78. Numbers can sing and dance. I could take those and fit the narrative that OBJ is the problem. It's the offense is still the problem. For whatever reason, it hasn't clicked with OBJ. I still think he's a good, solid receiver. But the fact that teams around the league don't know for sure if he's still that elite wide receiver, that speaks volumes as to why no one's lining up to take him off their hands at this trade deadline. So LeBron can tweet out free OBJ all he wants. His dad can release all the video he wants, and they think that they're standing on the right ground of he's great, they're the problem. I don't think that's the case. I think they're the problem. He's the problem. I think it's everyone's a team in it. This is as close of a team as OBJ's been with this. This is the only thing that they've done together is be wrong together. That's how I view this. So those numbers do tell a story. You can't, there's no secret that with him on the field, it does create a little havoc of Baker trying to feed him the ball. And I think that it does become a thing.
Ain't that crazy? Because it went from him trying to feed him the ball with a lot of turnovers, and now you're not giving him the ball at all. It's one pendulum to the other.
So, and then the other thing I was reading too was about, Baker's numbers when trying to target OBJ, how bad Baker's numbers are. And everyone's like, see how bad Baker is? I'm like, actually, that justifies Stefanski's reasoning for not targeting him. If the numbers are showing you that Baker is a better quarterback when targeting Hooper, Njoku, Jarvis, Harrison Bryant, whoever, if the numbers show that he is a better quarterback targeting those guys, then as a coach, that's your responsibility to draw up plays that fit the strength of what the story of the numbers are telling you. So I know this is as weird of a situation as I've ever seen. I've never seen an elite wide receiver go to a team and it just not work out. And I don't believe it's not working out because Baker's bad, because Baker's numbers to every other pass catcher on the team, on the roster, they're great. Great, but they're fine. Like Baker is a well above average quarterback. I know you guys, this isn't about Baker, but you see my point. That Baker, it's not like he's bad across the board. He's bad when it comes to OBJ. So you see what I mean by that, Kev? Like, for instance, we've seen this before, like Kyrie Irving. The Boston Celtics a few years ago. How can Kyrie Irving make a team worse? How can Kyrie make a team worse? Well, the Boston Celtics were an ascending young team that played as a team that won a lot of games, and they looked unstoppable at times. And then they added Kyrie Irving. Now you have this young, up-and-coming ascending team. You add Kyrie Irving, you think, man, they're going to go to that next level. Well, they didn't go to the next level. In fact, they were worse. And everyone kept scratching their heads saying, how can a team with Kyrie Irving be this bad? How could they have gotten worse? Well, that's kind of how people keep viewing this OBJ thing. How can a team at OBJ with the young and ascending quarterback in Baker Mayfield and a young offense like this, how could he make them worse? It's that type of thing. It doesn't mean Kyrie Irving was bad. It just means Kyrie Irving didn't work out with the Celtics. It doesn't mean that OBJ is bad. It just means it's not working out with the Browns. Not everything has to be the poor player, he's being treated poorly. It's sometimes you're just not a good fit. And I think that's what's happening here at the end of the day. Is that a good analogy? The Kyrie Irving thing in Boston, Kyrie's not a bad player, but there's no secret that when he got to Boston, they took a step back.
Right.
OBJ's not a bad player, but there's no denying that when he's out on the field, the offense takes a step back. Think back to last year. Remember we were trying to figure out their offensive identity in the first half of last year with OBJ. That we know they're a run team. We know that Baker's capable of throwing the ball, not at a high level, not at elite level, but he can make plays with his arm. But they just never seemed to figure it out. The biggest plays OBJ was making off of trick plays last year, the reverses and everything and all that. But when OBJ left, all of a sudden the offense opened up. And Baker Mayfield, and I bring this up all the time because of my man crush on Baker Mayfield, of course. I said, there's only two quarterbacks that had more passing yards, more passing touchdowns, and a higher QBR in the second half of last season than Baker Mayfield, and that was Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. That's it. The only two quarterbacks that had more passing yards in the back half of the season, in the second half of last year, the only two quarterbacks, that was Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. That's it. Those are the only two quarterbacks that had more passing yards, more touchdowns, higher QBR than Baker Mayfield in the second half of last year. I didn't want to believe that OBJ was because of that, but why haven't they picked up where they left off? And they kind of did. They didn't have him against the Chiefs, Kev. They didn't have him against the Chiefs. Baker threw for over 300 yards. He threw for multiple touchdowns. The offense was going up and down the field. OBJ comes back, and now we're back to that 225, 230 passing yards a game. We're back to that 1 to no passing touchdowns a game. We're back to the who the hell are they type game. I think we've seen enough. People keep saying we got to give it more time. It's been 2.5 years. I think we've seen enough. Even if they don't trade him by 4, which it sounds like that's not going to be the case, move on from him in general. I think it's addition by subtraction. Yes, you're eating some money, but my goodness, Kev, I find this whole thing to just be a complete disaster. I used to get so ticked at Schlemmer because Schlemmer, every time I'd brag about how things seem to be going in the right direction, Schlemmer would always use the line, and I'd just want to reach across the table and strangle him. Until further notice, they're still the Cleveland Browns. Well, it's stuff like today that validates Mark Schlemmer's annoying take on the Cleveland Browns. If you're listening, Mark Schlemmer, this one's for you. You were right, and that makes me want to puke. You were right. Until further notice, they're still the Cleveland Browns. And before Bengals fans start chirping, I got something for you. All right, now you can go. We go back to having a mature conversation.
Why the Bengals fans catching strays, man?
Oh, because I know I don't even have to read these comments to know it's coming. I have Twitter, too, and I've been reading those all day. But there you go. 518-1410. Kev, who we have first?
We got Donald on line, too.
Donald, how are you? Welcome.
Hey, how you doing? When I tuned in the other day after the Bengals beat Baltimore, I'm on my route here. You might hear a door
okay.
closed. But I just noticed that you said, don't get me wrong, I'm kind of older from Cincinnati, but most of my friends are Browns fans. I'm almost starting to feel bad about you just had such high expectations, and now things have happened. It's not working out so good. But to hear you on here saying the other day that it's not Burrow, it's Chase that makes Burrow good. You turn stuff around. You're sitting here talking about Baker Mayfield, and you're saying, but you have the things that you're saying are just the total opposite, just like you just said how you have to say to your old partner that was on there, because you can't. It's just not like you guys got ahead of yourself before they, just like Baker making commercials. You can do that. That's all good. But really, till you show and how he demands $40 million a year, you got to win a Super Bowl to make Rodgers money and to make, the big
true.
money.
Look, I see what you're saying, but the market, that's not true. Lamar hasn't won a Super Bowl, and he's going to get that money. Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow will make that money regardless of what he does the next couple of years. Like that's just
well. And I'm all for them getting as much as they can, but I don't think you should be able to come out and demand the top pay before you've shown that you can.
Well, if you can find me a clipping or anything of Baker coming out and demanding, I'm not saying he hasn't demanded that, but like people are just assuming he's demanding that, and I don't think it's wrong of him to ask for it and see where it's coming from.
I didn't hear it.
Now, I agree with you. I don't like that everyone just says Baker should get it because that's the market. I don't think, and I agree with you, by the way. I think Baker's a very, very, very good quarterback. I do not think he is of the upper tier guys that should get what Patrick Mahomes is getting. I think that the Browns would be worse if they paid Baker that full amount of money. I think the Browns would be better off paying a very good quarterback about that 35 range. That way you still have more flexibility to put players around him. Once Burrow gets his 40+ mil, they're not, they might be able to keep Chase after that, but you're not going to be able to keep T. Higgins and Boyd and all those guys. Boyd will be done by then, but you see my point. I agree with you from that perspective.
Yeah, I do. And like I said, I have a lot of, I'd rather have a See Ohio team make it. I mean, it's getting harder and harder because everyone I work with and on my route, most of them are Browns fans. And, they won't even really, if they don't win, they don't even really have much to say, which it's hard. I'm the same way. I don't, the week we lose, I'm not going out here striking up a conversation with everybody. But, you got to take your lumps. And I feel bad because you guys have had you got the strongest fan base in the world, and you've had some tough ways to go. But
that's how I felt last year when Burrow went down. People thought that I was some cold-hearted person that loved watching.
Well, I had a few friends make fun of that. And I didn't
there's nothing to make fun of there. I felt bad for Bengals fans last year when that happened because as much as I, like to poke at the Bengals, I like when they're interesting, and they're not interesting without Joe Burrow. But yeah, the Bengals fans were so jacked last year, and to watch Joe Burrow go out for the year, that was just like devastating to that fan base. And I could even sympathize with that. I don't want to see someone go out for the year.
I felt terrible. I felt terrible when Baker hurt his shoulder. Not terrible, but that's the last thing I want to see. And someone get hurt like that because it just takes from your team. And I want to see them do good. And I'd like to see them both undefeated when they play. I wish that neither one had lost a game when they play Sunday. But, to just be too biased on here, and I'm from Cincinnati, so I'm biased the other way. But, it's just good luck to both of them Sunday. I just kind of get pissed when you're on there, when you said Chase makes Burrow. Burrow's a pretty damn good quarterback. You got to admit,
I think he's a pretty good quarterback, and I think he looks great because of Chase. Look, last year, and the front your ownership told you that, though. Your front office told you that, yes, we really need to protect him, but what Joe Burrow really needs to be good is an elite wide receiver, and they gave that to him, and now he's good. I don't think, he was just okay last year. Now he's great this year because of Jamar Chase. So, I don't think that was a shot.
He has his faults, like you said. I don't mean to cut you off, but like you said, he's not perfect. Your guys aren't perfect. But another thing with that OBJ, if you can tell he wasn't a distraction before he even came to the Browns. He put on a different face mask. Remember that game last year where they made him change his face mask? It messed up the drive. They had to kick a field goal. He had like a different face mask on, and it wasn't approved or something.
Normally, I'd go at you for attacking OBJ, but you know what? He deserves it today. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm not team OBJ today. I tell you that much.
All right, I got to jump off here. I'm working, but good talking to you, and good luck.
You as well. Thank you. Take care, man.
Bye.
518-1410. Look, I'm not defending OBJ today. The closest to defending OBJ will be this. I'm not saying that it's not working in Cleveland because of him, but you are not going to get away in front of me saying that the Browns are at fault here. I think it took it took two to tango. It took two to tango here. It took the Browns not handling it right and OBJ not handling it right either. You can't sit there and talk about all the missed opportunities of getting him the ball and then totally, in that nice little video that his father made of him, you coincidentally didn't include all the drops in there, which I get it. That doesn't fit your narrative. So, it's just like watching, Fox and CNN. They're both only going to include the videos that fit their narratives. They're not going to show the videos that debunk their narratives. And that's what OBJ's dad did today. We're going to show all the times that he was standing wide open. Well, on the times that he was wide open, did the video, Kev, and I didn't watch all of it. Well, I'll tag you back in here. But in those videos, how many of those that didn't go to him still went to somebody else and the play still advanced? Because at the end of the day, that's really all that matters.
Right. Yeah, a fair share of them. And, it started out with the Minnesota game. And that's the one that
he was bad with everybody, by the way.
Yeah, that's the one people when, you hear a Keyshawn Johnson talk about like OBJ still has it, Baker has to play better. Those are the clips that people go to, especially those two in the Minnesota game. Like those are crazy. But like you said, OBJ is dropping the ball too, so it's enough blame to go around for everybody. Quarterback, wide receiver, play caller, everybody has a slice of blame pie in this game. So to try to perp like it's all one person's fault, it isn't that way. It's a collective situation that this hasn't worked out. I did want to bring up something real quick. In 2003, Anquan Bolden played for the Cardinals. Mm-hmm. They were 4-12. He had 100 catches for 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns. Calvin Johnson, the year that they went 0-16, 78 catches for 1,300 yards and 12 touchdowns. Neither one of those teams have as much talent as the Cleveland Browns currently have, but those elite receivers still produced. Time to take a look in the mirror, man.
Yeah, because even on the minimal catches and targets you're getting, we brought this point up yesterday. I said, it's not as if you're getting 4 or 5 targets a game and still averaging 70 yards. Because if he's averaging 60 to 70 yards a game with only 4 to 5 targets, it's like, okay, that you really need to double those. But so earlier, and I still think it's on the play calling too. I think it's a problem, but is it? Because we just read those numbers out. Baker's quarterback rating to OBJ is 78. When he throws to anyone else on the team, he has a combined QBR of 109. So, our quarterback rating of 109. So, when you talk about drawing up plays and everything, why would you draw up plays for a receiver that every time Baker targets that player, the offense led by that quarterback is rated at 78? But when you target anybody else, your offense is rated over 100. So we speak, we talk about how, you talked about yesterday about analytics being used in football. Well, isn't that an example of analytics being used in football? Right. And now I can't be a hypocrite and say the analytics are why you justify not going to OBJ, but sometimes this is a simpler one. The stuff in baseball is, when the moon's at this angle and there's X amount of stars in the sky and it rained the day before and it's cloudy in New Mexico, his average is this. Those are the things I can't stand in baseball, like launch angle and all that I don't need to know the launch angle on a ball. I just need to know if it went out of the ballpark or not. I don't care about all that. But this seems pretty simple. It'd be like in basketball. It's no dang different. You don't like the plus minus, but I mean this is kind of the equivalent to that. Mm-hmm. Coaches use that plus minus in basketball a lot. Hey, this guy, his numbers are good. He's averaging a lot of points for us, but when he's on the floor, the ball movement slows down. We don't, we go too much isolation. We're not playing good team ball. It's impacting how we play defense at the other end. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what this is. I feel like that's exactly what this is. I know we want to blame the play calling, but the numbers are showing when you go to OBJ, your offense is worse. And right now, the offense looks bad completely because I still think that there's just no flow or team chemistry to the offense. Last year, I'm not saying I want anyone to get hurt, but I think the best thing that happened to Baker and the Browns was that OBJ got hurt. I don't think they make the playoffs or even beat your Pittsburgh Steelers if OBJ is on the roster or on the team healthy last year. But who knows? So we'll see. But 518-1410, Kev, who's on line 3? Clifford, how are you, my friend? Welcome.
Hey, how you doing? Don't like the underdogs. I got to mess with you.
Jets, Jets. There we go.
Yeah. But anyway, I always thought that OBJ never really fit in Cleveland. You got a diva receiver out here. And when they got OBJ, I was like, what the heck? I didn't see that coming. Him going to Cleveland, of all places. You up north, you're more like a steel town, you know what I'm saying? Up north, like Pittsburgh and them kind of. It just seemed odd to me when y'all got him. So I don't know if that's got something to do with it, but it just is what it is on that.
I mean, he didn't pick Cleveland technically. He got traded there. You're right, but I don't blame Cleveland. Right. Even with it blowing up in Cleveland's face, and Kev, I'm curious your thoughts on this. Was it wrong to go get OBJ? No, it's never wrong. When you draft a quarterback and he shows signs of life, and like he did his rookie year, I actually praise the Browns for saying, you know what? Look, he's showing some life. Let's go get him a weapon. Now, I did not like that they got, they got rid of Zeitler on the offensive line to go get him. I thought that was kind of counterproductive. I don't care if you have a receiver, if you can't stand up to throw it to him, who cares, right? But I don't blame the Browns for going to get OBJ, but I do blame the Browns for keeping OBJ as we're 20 minutes away from the trade deadline.
This is one of the rare trades where I don't think it worked out for anybody. Like outside of, obviously OBJ, he signed that contract with the Giants, and he's still getting paid for that contract that he signed with the Giants. But, I mean, look at Zeitler. He's been unheard from ever since. He's been banged up and hurt. Jabril Peppers, he had a good season last year, but that first year he was with the Giants, he wasn't good. This year, unfortunately, he got hurt, and he's out for the rest of the season. So, like, who benefited from this trade? I don't think anybody benefited. It's just a wash. It's just one of those mini trades where just, hey man, it just turned out bad for everybody involved. I don't think there's any question that OBJ will be playing for a different team next year. Trade deadline in 25 minutes. A blockbuster about to happen real quick or something.
I mean, they've come out and announced that they're not trading him, which I don't know why they're doubling down on that. Like, that's the part I can't support. People are wanting me to say that the Browns made a mistake in getting OBJ. No, they did not. Any team, you guys got to remember, at the time that Cleveland traded for him, do you realize that if the Packers had what it took to get him, they would have got him for Aaron Rodgers? That the Patriots, who were trying anything and everything at that time to get him, that they would have done the same thing? Like, they would have done a lot of teams. And by the way, it wasn't like Cleveland's the only team that went after him. Cleveland offered them an offensive lineman, which they needed to help protect Eli Manning at that time. That was important to them. That's why, they had just drafted Saquon Barkley, and they weren't able to create some lanes for him when, the year before when he got injured. So it was all about setting up the offensive line for Eli Manning. The Browns had the best package, but other teams were going after him as well. Mm-hmm. The Patriots were one of the teams going after him. They weren't willing to part ways with their offensive line. That was what made them, right? So I don't blame the Browns for following through with the OBJ trade. I do blame the Browns for continuing to keep this facade on. Like, I think this is a disaster. And the fact that you're coming out and saying we do not intend to trade him, it's like, my goodness, why not? Even if you just outright release him, like him in the locker room right now. What do you think practice is like today, by the way? When they're in the huddle at practice today, you think that OBJ and him aren't making eye contact? You think that's not awkward? I can't imagine that, Kev.
Brown right, 45 blast on 2. Ready, break.
Yep. Don't throw to OBJ on 3. Ready? All right. 518-1410. Who's up next, Tim?
We got Tim.
Tim, how are you? Welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. You?
I'm doing great, and I want to represent some of these Brown fans out there. You're taking a lot of heat here, so I'm going to say something here on behalf of the Browns. I noticed that last year that every time that they played a little bit different when he tried to force the ball to OJ. You know what I mean? To him. And
the numbers
that
show
to
that.
me
They
showed
support that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I seen it last year, and they played like totally different. Everything got a little sloppier, on the field. And then, he had an interception. His interceptions was kind of high every time he tried to throw it over to him, and everything else. And then you would see, and then I'm going to shout out to the other receivers. I've seen other receivers wide open that he should have went to, and he went to Beckham instead. You know what I mean? So that, to me, I agree with everything you're saying, and I respect your opinion on it. And I'm going to back you up on what you're saying here about it. I understand them going to get him because they need, you need a receiver, and then, and then winning and they're showing a little bit of light, and it makes you want to root for them, and you got high expectations for them. And then they kind of like just don't, like, nobody wants to play hard anymore, then when it's a totally different team when he ain't on the field, it's a totally different team. It's like everybody gets a little bit of the ball, they spread it around a little bit more on the offense, and I think that's a lot better than just trying to go to one guy all the time, And any great quarterback, Aaron Rodgers or Peyton Manning, whoever's playing Tom Brady, they spread it around a little bit. They throw it to everybody, try to get everybody involved to make plays. And that needs to happen more to get him more into the game.
Yeah, and the crazy thing too is, like, let's say OBJ does go on to another team. Let's say he goes and plays with Mac Jones over in New England, or he goes to Green Bay with him, and they start passing it to him, and he starts catching those passes. They'll all point at the Browns and laugh, and then I'm going to point back out and laugh and say, "Well, yeah, it's nice when you actually catch the ball." Like, yeah, right. It's not. And by the way, right. If he goes there and he has success, I'm not anti-OBJ. I don't want him to not have success. But if he goes on to have success, and then the Browns offense goes back to looking like it did in the second half of last year, then I don't see how anyone's in the wrong. I don't think anyone's wrong. I think that shows that OBJ is a good receiver, Baker in the offense is a great offense, and that both just didn't mesh together, and that both are better apart. And I think that's what's going to end up happening. I think the Browns will look better offensively without him. I think he'll look better playing elsewhere if he goes elsewhere this year, which doesn't look like it. But who knows what's going to happen. But this has just become a mess. Keeping him is more of a distraction than trading him, to be honest with you.
I have nothing against him. I hope him the best.
I just like to see him produce. You know, I like to see him win. Everybody on the same page and get it done. You know, when it's hard to take if you get beat down, you get beat down. But when you lose by 5, 3 points, 2 points, something like that, that's hard to take as a Browns fan because that happens so much. You know what I'm saying? In the past, it used to happen just all the time because you're fighting tough. They're fighting tough. They're right in the game. And then, you know, things happen, and then we don't come out with a win.
Oh, I know. It's going to be interesting to see how they look against Cincinnati. And, you know, we'll see. Cincinnati, they're motivated. They're coming off a loss against the Jets. They're going to come in ready and hungry to get a win. They don't want to lose back-to-back. So they're focusing on beating the Browns, and the Browns are focusing on this OBJ stuff. And I think that's a problem heading into Sunday. So I already have my excuse ready for if they lose.
Yeah, okay. As a Browns fan, though, when you're playing at home on Halloween, you know, you're a Browns fan. You know exactly what that's about. You're supposed to just dominate. That's Halloween in Cleveland Stadium. You know, that's got to be a win. That you know, you count that one. You know what I mean? And just to go out and play that ugly, I mean, it wasn't a good thing.
Well, look, they lived up to Halloween. That was scary how bad they looked. But I don't care if it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, 4th of July. That's not how you're supposed to play. I agree. Look, Sunday in general, I don't care what Sunday it is. They shouldn't look that as poor as they did. But we'll see how they turn it around.
All right. Thank you.
No, thank you. Take care. 518-1410. All right. The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. But I'm over this OBJ stuff. I'm over it. We'll see. We'll see. We'll continue taking your calls on this. You're more than welcome to call in and let your opinions be heard about OBJ and the Cleveland Browns. But I think we've touched on it as much as we should at this point. But we'll gladly go back into it if you want us to. But we're going to transition to some college football. Tonight, the very first college football playoff rankings come out for the 2021 season. The Bearcats, are they a feel-good story? Are they just a feel-good story? Or are they worthy of being a top 4 team for the college football playoff? The Buckeyes, they have a one-possession loss against Oregon, and they've taken care of business against everybody else. Is their resume up to par with everybody else's? We'll talk about what's the gap between Ohio State and Alabama. Why is Alabama getting all this love, but Ohio State's not passing this eye test that everyone only seems to be having for Ohio State? I don't get it. We'll talk about all that. We do have ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz, who will join us 45 minutes from now. And, of course, he'll be part of the Rankings Reaction Show with Mike Golick Jr. tonight on ESPN's social media accounts and YouTube, so make sure you follow him there. But so much to look forward to coming up here tonight, and I've heard it all. The first poll doesn't matter. It means nothing. Your team's in it. Love the college football playoff rankings. That's how it works. Let's talk college football playoffs when we come back. The first poll comes out tonight. The Bearcats, what are their chances? Ohio State, will they be in the top 4? Should Ohio State be ranked ahead of Oregon, or should Oregon be ahead of Ohio State? Let's talk about it all. 518-1410. Kinner and Kev will be back in just a moment.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
From city streets to back roads, from road warrior to carpooler, there are some things you can always count on, like the reliability, durability, and power of Die Hard, America's most trusted auto battery. No matter where your journey takes you, count on Die Hard to get you started on the road ahead. Available at your local Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest stores.
Today's pros need today's tools, and nobody understands that better than the Home Depot. Our app makes it simpler to get supplies ordered and delivered. Our online project calculators cut guesswork and last-second supply runs. Job site delivery puts what you need where and when you need it. And rental puts the right equipment in your hands, but not your overhead. That's how today's pros get more done. New tech, new tools, old-fashioned hard work. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Well, I started my own restaurant because I love to cook, but that also means a lot of greasy pots and pans. And we can't waste time with endless sink changeovers. So we upgraded to Dawn Professional Pot and Pan.
Dawn Professional cleans 58% more pots and pans per sink than the leading competitor.
Less dish soap, fewer changeovers, and more time doing what we love.
Dawn Professional. It's clean. Upgraded. from P&G Professional.
Hi, my name is Ted, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Peppermint Chip Shake is when the peppermint shake is available, that's to me sort of announces that the holiday season is here. I guess most people count down the days until Christmas, but me, I count down the days until the shake comes out.
Hi, I'm Michaela, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Peppermint Chip Milkshake is that first sip when you taste the peppermint chip pieces, it's like catching snowflakes on your tongue.
Share a peppermint chip milkshake from Chick-fil-A this holiday. Available for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Hey, I'm College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers, and I'm here with John Glazier from Glazier Soft Water. Did you know we are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes?
Yes, I did. But did you know that Glazier Soft Water is the home of the 7-year, worry-free parts and labor warranty? We've been making water great since 1988. What were you doing in 1988?
That was my third year in the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles. I had 10 touchdowns that season, and we made the playoffs in 1988.
So you can say that we both have been doing great since 1988. Glazier Soft Water. Glazier Water is better water.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations, serving the greater Dayton and Cincinnati area, is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the best value in bath and shower remodeling, and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that is safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase. Visit on Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com and upgrade today.
This is the sound of a popular American motorcycle. It's the sound of freedom, the open road, really good times. And this is what it sounds like with a drunk guy in it. How do you like the sound of that? Cops are cracking down on drunk motorcycle riders. If you ride drunk, you will get caught and you will get arrested. Drunk riding. Over the limit, under arrest. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Transportation.
In college football, Goodyear knows a new season means new possibilities, where every Saturday is an opportunity on the road to greatness. No matter if you're out there playing your hardest or cheering the loudest from the sidelines, tailgating in the parking lot, or your favorite spot to watch the game, Goodyear knows passion is what drives us forward all the way to the playoffs. That's the road that moves us. Goodyear, more driven.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide, with plans starting at just $35 a month with no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for only $299, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required, actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Some people think fall is the best time of the year. It may also be a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Brought to you by BioNTech and Pfizer.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Weekdays at 3 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. The very first college football playoff rankings come out tonight. Rankings reaction. You can follow the action live tonight with ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz and Mike Golick Jr. Jason Fitz will hang out with Kevin and I coming up here in about 40 minutes. Excited to chat with him. And the one thing, was tweeting with him back and forth earlier about I kind of threw out 3 different polls of which is more likely to happen. And he just said, we have no clue what's going to happen. This is the most chaotic, and like chaos usually means a bad thing. Like Browns chaos today is a bad thing. College football playoff chaos is a great thing. Like the playoff has won already this year. Like if I'm not saying it'll never go to 12, it's probably sooner rather than later, but like it's years like this year that people hold the brakes a little bit, as Shaw likes to say. When the committee, when you talk about holding the brakes on expanding the playoff, it's because of years like this,
right,
where there really is parity around college football. For the vast majority of the first run of the playoff, Kev, it's been the Clemson, Ohio State, Bama show.
Right.
With Georgia and Oklahoma, Notre Dame, and, kind of hanging out there. I know LSU won a national championship, but that was, that's their one and only playoff appearance. So I'm not really going to put them in that category as well, but Notre Dame's been there multiple times. Oklahoma's been there a lot, so we see a lot of those teams kind of get a little exposure and then get bumped out. Georgia's kind of leading that way as well, but they're regulars in the playoff, at least from a time-to-time appearance as well. But this year's crazy. Like It really is. We usually know the first 3 teams. We're usually debating who's team 4 going to be.
Right.
We're doing 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6 tonight because Cincinnati could be 2. They could be 7. And I'm not joking. Like there's justification to have them at 7, whether people like it or not. There really is justification to have them at 7. And then there is justification to put them at 2. I mean, they could fall anywhere in that 5-team range, Kev.
I think that UC is going to end up somewhere. They're either going to be 4 or 5, because if you put them 8 or 9 or something like that, like below that, crazy. They're going to say basically your season's over. They're saying that there's no way that you can get into this top 4 because they've already had their biggest opportunity to make their statement known, obviously in that road win versus Notre Dame. So I've always been a proponent, or always thought that the college football committee is going to put them in a spot where, like, yeah, you can still get in, a la the number 5 spot, or you can hang on and get in there at the 4th spot. I don't think that they're going to put them so far back that they basically say, you know what, you don't even need to continue to watch these shows on Tuesday. You and your fan base can go elsewhere because you're not getting invited. Because if UC is not at least at 5, they're never going to get in there. There's no possible way for them to get in there from all the way back there. We can talk about Ohio State, how they were able to jump up those many spots. Well, they had an opportunity versus a highly ranked Wisconsin team on national TV in the Big Ten championship game. UC is not going to have that opportunity. So I don't think they'll be below 5 tonight.
Now, you said before coming back that you had 2 questions to throw my way.
Yes. So 1, what did you think about Myles Garrett wearing his Halloween costume to the post-game press conference?
When you are winning, I would have ripped any other team for doing this. I didn't realize he did that. Did he do? Remember, I had to listen on.
No mask, but the cape.
Well, I mean, it's everyone hates wearing masks. That's why I said that you got to love Halloween. It's the only time of year where adults act like children and put a mask on. And any other day that's not Halloween, the adults act like children and bitch about having to wear one. So you set me up for that. I'm sorry. I don't know why I went there. That was totally uncalled for.
Straight bullets, man.
But no, that was silly. He wore in the post game after losing to the Steelers. I didn't know that.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes.
All right. They deserve to lose to Cincinnati because that's the stupid stuff. Like Tom Brady's not letting that happen with Tampa. Win or lose. They lost to the Saints. No one was acting like an idiot in their post game, I bet. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, Cleveland, know the room. Feel the room. Like, there's too many. Like, Myles Garrett's all about his little, putting up the little gravestones or whatever the heck those are called. The tombstones or whatever the heck it is in his little yard. And he has all the quarterbacks' names on there.
Oh, that ain't no little yard.
Which was cute because a couple weeks ago, the Browns were playing. They were 3-1. They were just annihilating teams. They were, great. Fine. Whatever. You got to be careful. But to keep it up, I mean, arriving there on Halloween. Again, it's Halloween. You want to have a little fun, but you got to feel the room. You got to know the room at that point. You just lost. Even if they would have won and beat the Steelers, Kev, let's say, because it was 15-10. Let's say on those last 2 offensive possessions, the Browns hit field goals on both of those and win 16-15. I'd still be annoyed as hell that he's doing that in the post game because they're not playing good enough football for you to be all loosey-goosey on the screen. Because what that screams is, well, I'm getting mine. He actually, his Pro Football Focus, it's the highest grade he got all year. And he's had better statistical games as far as sacks and stuff. But they said that, I mean, he was running after Big Ben all day. Like, that was his best statistical game of the season. And what that says to me is, yeah, that we lost, but I got mine. And I hate that. I hate that in basketball. I hate that in football. And OBJ's doing it now. Well, they're not throwing it to me. I'm wide open. That's not the problem right now. The problem is your team's losing football games. And maybe he thinks, if you throw it to me more, we'll win football games. I don't know. But there's just too much me. I'm not getting the ball. I'm wearing my costume. Here, check out my Halloween front yard. Do this, do that. I'm sorry. Like, when Baker Mayfield's the most quiet of everybody, that's hard to do, right? Like, because Baker, we can say what you want about him. He's not chirping. He's not saying anything. The only thing he said lately that I have a problem with is, I know my body. I'll decide if I play or not. Come to find out, due to reports, is that the Browns basically said, you are cleared to play. It's up to you. So I did get that confirmed. That I was irritated that Baker was saying stupid things like that. Like, I'll decide. I get to decide if I play. I was like, that sounds horrible. Stop saying that. But of course, he had to say it in the Baker way, but he was actually given the green light from his team to say, doctors have cleared you. It's a pain tolerance thing. Right. If you feel you can play, we will roll with you as the starter. So he wasn't wrong. He gets to decide, but he doesn't lay that out there. He just does this like macho, I'm in charge. I tell the doctors if I'm going to play. That's what I don't like. So no, I have a huge problem with that, Kev. I can't believe that. Like, that is so messed up. I had no clue he did that in the postgame. He embarrassed. Anyways, yeah.
So number 2 is, what do you think about the Buckeye fans rushing the field?
Thank you.
On Saturday night.
Buckeye fans, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen you guys do. You rushed the field after beating a 3-loss team. What is wrong with you? And seeing Kev, you know I'm going to bring this up on my own anyways. I just forgot. And and usually when I start going after kids for doing this stuff, you even look at me like, oh, come on, kid, or let them have fun. But honest to goodness, there's a lot of things that happened that was embarrassing in the state of Ohio over the weekend. There was a lot of embarrassing things that happened in the state of Ohio over the weekend. The Bengals lost to the Jets. The Jets won, now 2-4 Jets. That's embarrassing. 2-7, whatever the heck they are. That's embarrassing. The Browns looking as embarrassingly bad as they did against the Steelers. That was embarrassing. I thought that the Buckeyes would carry the weight and beat Penn State, which they did. But you're right, Kev. They rushed the field after. That was just that's what really got the embarrassing the state of Ohio thing over the weekend started. Rushing the field after beating a 3-loss team set the tone for the Bengals losing to the Jets and the Browns embarrassing themselves against the Steelers. Yeah, I forgot. Thank you for pointing that out. I'm so caught up with the win itself that the fans embarrassed themselves rushing the field. We've seen a lot of big games at the shoe.
Right.
Why is that the one you're rushing the field for? I thought that was tacky. I really do. Thank you for bringing that up, Kev, because I haven't hated in a while. So there you go. Yeah.
So when me and my brother were talking about it, because I told you I was having game night at one of my best friend's house, and they rushed the field. I'm like, well, that's pretty stupid. So on my drive home, my brother was actually called me. Is like, did they rush the field?
Oh yeah.
Because the place he was watching the game at, he left once the game was over, and he didn't see it. And then everybody started hitting him up and everything like that. I was like, yeah. I was like, why the hell would you rush the field for Penn State? Like, yeah, they're good program and everything, but like they weren't undefeated. Like, it's not like, oh man, this is the Big Ten championship game or something like that. Like, there's no like they won on a walk-off field goal or something like that. There was no reason to rush the field. And my only thought was, this is the first time in over a year and a half that fans got to get crazy. It was Halloween, homecoming, back in the stadium. It's a night game.
They were probably pretty lubricated.
Yeah. So okay. Like that was the only straw I could grab to say why they rushed the field. Just that, looking for a reason to rush the field. So I guess they found it. Maybe anybody that was at the shoe last Saturday that rushed the field, please hit us up. Let us know why you guys rushed the field. I would like to know.
You rush the field after beating that team up north. I get it. You rush the field after beating, if they back when they played Oregon, had they beat Oregon on a last-second field goal or something, you rush the field, whatever. A little tacky, but whatever. I get it. But you beat a 3-loss Penn State. You gave Penn State their
You were favored by 20.
Yeah, and you're rushing the field.
You were favored by 20 points.
The only
Won by 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you should rush the field for that. It's got to be something major. I rushed the field. This would be Herb's first year. Herb's. That was Coach Meyer's first year at Ohio State when they beat Michigan, yeah. When they beat Michigan, they went undefeated for that season. Obviously, they were on probation, couldn't go to the BCS or anything like that. But we rushed the field in because we all knew that was the last game of the season. There was no bowl game. There was no nothing. That was it. They were 12-0. We rushed the field. Good times. That's justified to rush the field.
But the fan base embarrassed the Buckeyes I think Gene Smith was like, ooh, that'll be good. I bet the Buckeye players were like, guys, you're embarrassing us. Go back in the stands.
Are they going to rush the court when Ohio State basketball beats Duke?
But that's justifiable. You beat Duke. That's justifiable to a certain extent. But at the same time, act like you've been there before. Like, if you could find footage of Alabama fans rushing the field for any win at home, I don't care. Let me know. I would have to think that it's far and few between when it happens. I don't think it happens. Act like you've been there before. Alabama fans aren't rushing the field after a win because Alabama fans expect to win. Did you guys not expect to win this past Saturday? You see what you did, Kev? I was going on 2 shows in a row with rational conversations with people because McKinney called last week, ticked off at me because I was making jokes and stuff, and he doesn't like having a good time. So I was trying to, take my foot off a little bit, say, okay, we're going to have normal, serious conversations. And then Kev has to set me up.
That is a serious question. I asked you, what did you think?
Well,
that's a serious. I've been hanging on to that. I wanted to ask you yesterday, but I forgot. But I'm actually reading this article right now. Why Bama fans don't rush the field. I'll keep you posted.
No, keep me posted. Keep me posted. But I'm dying to know. But I think I could answer it for you. Bama fans don't rush the field because they know who they are. Buckeye fans, I thought you knew who we were. You don't rush the field.
Not when you're a 20-point favorite.
Yeah. But I mean, it would take a lot for me to say, the last time I remember them rushing the field, and I'm not saying it hasn't happened since then. It was that JT Barrett Michigan game. That was nuts.
That was justified.
That was justified. Like, oh my goodness, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. In fact, I know I've had this jacket for a long time. I was running this exact jacket. I remember we were doing a pregame that day, then we did a postgame after, had a blast that day. I remember specifically that. Got goosebumps watching the fans rush out onto the field. That was nuts. But no goosebumps for me watching the fans rush the crowd. All right, let's talk some college football some more on the other side. 518-1410. We do have, all of our lines are full now officially, so we'll take your calls coming up here 3 minutes from now. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Kinner and Kev will be back in just a moment.
Smash through to victory. We cheer you as we go.
No matter what happens, you do not rush the freaking field.
My stomach.
Don't worry, I've got you covered.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
What's that?
It's Pepto-Bismol Chews.
Pepto-Bismol's in a chew?
Yeah, they taste great and provide fast relief. And you can always have Pepto-Bismol handy.
Ooh, let me try it.
Try Pepto-Bismol Chews for fast relief.
Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
It's not magic that will deliver 1 billion packages to homes across the country this holiday. It's the United States Postal Service. And we don't need a team of reindeer to do it because we've added more vehicles to our fleet. And while we don't come down your chimney, we can pick up presents for you and yours. So if making more holiday deliveries to homes in the U.S. than anyone else seems like magic, that means we're doing our job. Share the magic at USPS.com/helpers.
Hi, I'm Sales Manager Jason High at Germain Honda Beaver Creek, proud recipient of the prestigious President's Award. We are your local Honda dealer, and we invite you to see our newly renovated state-of-the-art facility. You'll be amazed at our selection, and remember, all new Hondas come with a lifetime powertrain warranty. Visit us at Route 35, just east of 675, conveniently located near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I'll see you soon.
Hustler Turf commercial mowers are built tough to work hard. Whether you need a fleet of mowers or are a one-man show, you don't have time for downtime. Hustler mowers are over-engineered, overbuilt, and tested well beyond what is required with the most complete lineup in the industry, including exclusives like a 104-inch Super 104, an 88-inch stand-on, and industry-leading warranties. Hustler mowers are ready to handle what you throw at them. Build your fleet to be reliable and versatile with Hustler Turf. Visit Small Engine Service Pros in New Car Lot Carlisle today.
Need a U.S. passport? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Visit one of our convenient auto title locations in Heber Heights, Clayton, downtown, Moraine, and Centerville. Make us your first destination before you travel abroad. No appointments ever needed. We do passports.com for more info.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
NFL fans, the season is finally here. Get your picks submitted at wingam.com. Click on contest and enter the Pro Football Challenge. Weekly winners will win $20 in Frickers Fun Bucks. Get to wingam.com and get your NFL picks submitted now.
Touchdown! Incredible!
Good luck. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle. WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
You got OBJ's dad releasing videos like he's Kim Kardashian or something. I mean, my goodness, that video has just caused quite the stir here today. And I don't even know what to tell you, but I think it's time to move on from that OBJ conversation. I wish I wish that the Browns were willing to move on from OBJ as much as we're willing to move on from the OBJ discussion. But, it is, it's split 50-50. Like the social media reaction. There's Team OBJ and then there's Team Browns. To be fair, I'm not Team Browns or Team OBJ, Kev. I'm just Team chalk it up to just not working.
Right.
Not everything always has to be somebody's fault. Sometimes things fit, you get a guy and it works and it fits perfectly. Jamar Chase, even if they drafted him and he was just a good receiver, super. But that doesn't mean it was a super fit. Jamar Chase is beyond a super fit for the Cincinnati Bengals because there is not one thing that the Bengals do poorly with him on the field. It's a perfect fit. And I've joked in the past that I'm jealous of that because the way Jamar Chase impacted that Bengals offense is exactly what OBJ was supposed to do for the Browns. And that's not the case. But the numbers show that Baker's not bad. Baker's bad when he tries to throw it to OBJ. You don't have to, yes, I get it. You can make numbers sing and dance, but at the end of the day, this has just become a complete disaster. And I think it's only going to set up more headaches moving forward. I think he does more damage now on the team. Before I said it was silly to trade him, that I think he has more value to your team to give you a chance for it to work moving forward than to get a 5th round pick. But now I think he does more damage for you moving forward because every play, where those like this weekend's a prime example. Watch how many times the camera pans over to OBJ after every offensive play. Mm-hmm. Baker now is going to be constantly, oh man, Jarvis is wide open. OBJ's being double teamed, but we need to get him targets. Let's force him the ball. And then the interceptions are going to pile up like it did years ago. This is just a disaster. Before we always knew there was talk about him needing to get the ball more, but now that it's out there and everyone knows about it, Baker has proven he's not mentally strong enough to be able to play through this when it's gotten tough at times. I'm worried, Baker's play is really going to diminish moving forward because of this, and I really hope that's not the case.
It's in his head, and it's in his head because in his post-game press conference, one of the first things out of his mouth was talking like, I know the media is going to be talking about, things are falling apart around here. Like, you're already preemptively talking about it. Like before anybody even asked him the question about it. So it's in that type of stuff is in his head. So I know that getting OBJ the ball is in his head too. So like this is like I talked about in hour one, like this is going to create a divide in the locker room. And this is not where you want to be when you're trying to make a run to the playoffs. You know, I know like people are acting like the season's over. It's not over, but like stuff like this, it can derail you very quickly. I mean, you got the Bengals coming up. Who do the Browns after the Bengals?
I need to pull that up. If I was a real fan, I'd know that. But I've had this damn Bengals game circled for so long, I forgot that there is a season still after that. And Bengals fans right now are probably saying, season's done come Sunday. So there you go. I set you guys up perfectly for that. But 5-1-8-14-10. College football playoff rankings come out tonight. We're about to transition fully to that. But yesterday we missed Charlie. I want to make sure we get his call. Is he on 3? Or is he on 4? 4. Charlie, are you still there, sir?
Yeah, I'm worried about you.
Why are you worried about me? I'm fine. You don't have to worry about me. I'm worried about you guys because a week from now, this could be you guys on the edge. Okay, you go lose embarrassing loss to the Jets, and you're about to get beat up by the Cleveland Browns, who are a media disaster right now.
Listen, can you promise me this in all seriousness?
All seriousness, McKinney will be proud.
If the Browns lose, can you just remember it's just football and teams win and teams lose.
I need you guys to understand.
I just heard you yell at fans for just being fanatical, and I'm like, God, Justin I'm worried about you. You're hating on your own favorite team's fans.
No, that's called being consistent. I keep everyone in check. The fans of my teams I like, and then even you people.
Football players and how a game is determined and how people play on the field, that's different. I'm like, and he's like, I can't even, these guys suck. They're just running on the field. That's so stupid. Alabama wouldn't do that.
They wouldn't. They know what's up.
He's a full-on. Look, regardless, I'm like,
but then again, your fan base got like that. You guys did cartwheels over beating the Lions a few weeks ago. So again, I get it. I get why you're defending this. I mean, you're used to fans overreacting to beating just bad teams. So I get it. I really do. It's okay. We're cut from a different cloth. That's all.
Why are you acting like Penn State's bad? It's not Rutgers. Penn State was good.
They're bad compared to Ohio State standards of being Ohio State, and you just beat a 3-loss team, and you're rushing the field.
They were a 2-loss team when we played them.
3-loss team.
And then they lost. Yeah,
it's still a 2-loss team. I mean, my goodness. If Alabama would have beat Texas A&M, I know it was a road game, but I mean, I guarantee you, if Texas A&M was at Alabama, Bama fans wanted to rush the field.
See, I don't see it like you do. I think it's cool that the fans rush the field. Good for them.
And that's fair. And by the way, that's totally fine. I'm the curmudgeon. I'm like I have like an old soul sometimes. Like I'm just gonna be. You think I'm a cranky young man right now? I'm gonna be a cranky old man when that time comes. I mean, I can't imagine how bad it's gonna be.
Yeah, you use adjectives like sharp.
Yep, and I say out yonder. I say things like out yonder. But I did learn a new word, cap. So I'm going to try to incorporate cap into my everyday vocabulary.
You're never going to get it, Justin. You're never going to get that. and even if you understood it, you wouldn't use it, right?
I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to try my best.
You know what I was thinking? Kev probably nailed it because just like people it's just. I think people are just excited to be at games. I wanted to go to that Bengals-Browns game. It's $250 to go now. And that's just, people are excited. They're like, they're acting like it's a freaking Super Bowl.
$250 a ticket?
Oh, yeah, that's why I'm not going anymore, by the way. I know my, six-figure salary I have here. That's a joke, by the way. But, I bathe in money. I have so much money. I'm the richest guy alive. But I'm not going to the Bengals-Browns game because – for one, I don't want to risk going to watch the Browns lose and have all y'all give me crap. But two, no game is worth that to me in the regular season. None. Zilch. Nada.
$250 a pop.
Now, the Coach Krzyzewski game, that game's different. I'd pay a pretty penny for that. But, Browns-Bengals, nah. I'll pay that whenever the Browns and the Bengals play in the playoffs. That way I could be there.
How much would you be willing to pay? And same for you, Charlie. How much would you be willing to pay to go to the game this weekend?
How much would I to watch the Browns Bengals this weekend?
Yeah,
about $100. But here's the thing: I'm going to watch the Bengals in Vegas in 2 weeks, and I paid $400 a ticket, and that was before the season started. So
I'm Charlie.
I spent
$400 on tickets.
Well, it's not. hold on. That's not.
You listening, ladies?
No.
Big spender, man. No, but no, that's how much you have to spend to go to those. I mean, but it's an experience, though.
Yeah, you're paying for their experience.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
You can justify that. You know, you're going to Vegas for the weekend. Maybe you can win it back.
I don't know if I'm going to try that, but no, I mean, we're only going to go. That, you know, if you do cost average, I mean, they only play out there once every 8 years. So, you know, like I can't imagine like some of the other tickets out there for certain games, like you know, like a big marquee, like if it's the Packers and the Steelers, I mean, that's going to be out of control. But
I'm sure the Rams tickets are crazy too.
Yeah, I'm just excited to tailgate with the Raiders fans. Man, those people look crazy. But hopefully they share. I've shared enough. Look, Justin, when I tailgate, even in Cincinnati, I've made burgers and brats, and I've given beers away to even Browns fans. So.
Yeah, you probably give him like a Pabst or something. Like you kept the good beer for you.
No.
And there's nothing wrong with a good PBR, by the way. I could do. There was a bar when I lived in Coldwater. There was a bar that had $1 PBR. We'd live at that bar. We loved that dang bar that would give $1 PBR. So there you go. Shout out to Sobers, by the way.
Justin, the last time I tailgated a Bengals-Browns game was actually the only time we ever beat Baker Mayfield. Was that 2 years ago, and these Browns fans were just walking by. We offered them some food and beer. Turned out it was the guy who owns Bill's Donuts in Centerville, man.
That's a guy that you can make friends with. Right?
Definitely.
Because you invite him to a lot of your stuff, and you know he's going to be bringing some good food with him. There you go.
Yeah, well, and if you didn't know, he's a Browns fan. So there you go. Even more reason to go there and shop and get donuts for the Browns fans. So.
But all right, man.
I don't know if anybody wants you around because you're hating on everybody's fans.
No, I'm not hating them. It's called Keeping It Real. Kev, I think we're going to change the name of the show. It's going to be Keeping It Real with Kenner and Kev. I think that's basically the gist of it. Parents are pissed, but the kids love it.
Dave Chappelle had a skit years ago. I think it was when Keeping It Real got too real, and I think you're just getting a little too real. So why don't you dial it down?
Keeping it real
man.
Goes wrong.
Damn kids, get off my lawn.
That's what's going on with Justin Kenner right now. It's going wrong.
Well, and they wonder why the grass or the turf looks like crap out there too. By the way, because you're storming the field for games you shouldn't be. They're about to replace that this offseason. I don't want to see no kids, rubbing their dirty feet all over that nicely, new field next year. No, none of that. You beat Michigan, you do it. Just saying. But hey, Charlie, good hearing from you, man.
All right, see you guys. Have a good one.
518-1410, 518-1410. Okay, college football playoff rankings come out tonight. Jason Fitz joins us coming up here in about 16 minutes. But look, there's so many different ways that this can go, as we talked about. And here's what I need Bearcat fans to understand. Be excited. I'm not telling you can't be excited, but you need to stop saying things like the committee is screwing you over, because they will be justified in any decision that they make tonight. If they have you in, I still think that putting Cincinnati in is kind of a slap in the face to a lot of the Power Fives. Now, no one feels sorry for Power Fives. I'm not asking you to. But you have to understand, Ohio State has a loss this year that they would not have if they could known that they could just play weak teams every single week and get in. Now, to Cincinnati's defense, they did play Notre Dame at Notre Dame. But, like, that one win at Notre Dame, like, that's the only thing you are hanging your hat on right now, because it's not as if you are destroying your non-conference, or it's not as if you're destroying your weak conference opponents right now. It was easy to overlook the one possession win over Navy a few weeks ago, but then, you pulled away late this past weekend against Tulane, but even then, that was not a pretty game. Like, Cincinnati, like, putting them in the top four, I have a hard time with, because they're not playing good football, which is another reason why I'm not a big fan of putting Oklahoma in there, Kev. Oklahoma has escaped disaster twice, and I think that what fans are getting confused with is they're letting the emotion of three times. They're letting the emotion of the fun comeback get in the way of what is good and bad football. Oklahoma hasn't played good football. Like, the fact that you won a couple games you had no business winning because you played one quarter of good football. Like, so the Oklahoma is going to be in the top four. Despite, for the wins that they have in three of those wins, good wins, don't get me wrong, beating Texas is a good win, kind of. Each week it kind of becomes less impressive, but you had to come back to win because you played like crap for 3 quarters. And we saw it last against Kansas. You played like crap for 3 quarters, and then you flip the switch in the 4th. And it's like, I do believe that, yes, because you're hiding behind that undefeated record, Cincinnati's hiding behind it too. But I am consistent. I'm not saying you punish Cincinnati because you haven't played well the last 2 weeks. I'm not just picking on them. That's kind of how I am across the board. Now, the difference is Ohio State had their crappy games early,
right, and
they've played great since. Alabama has played some interesting games recently. The Texas A&M loss, okay, whatever. It's not really about that loss, but it's even in the wins lately. Tennessee, that was a ball game into the 4th quarter. That score is not a reflection of how competitive that game actually was. So I'm just really interested in how critical and how much they're going to critique these teams. I'm not beating up on Cincinnati. I don't think Oklahoma should be a top 4 team tonight. I just don't. I think one-loss Ohio State's better than undefeated Oklahoma. I think one-loss Alabama's better than Oklahoma. I think undefeated Michigan State's better than Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's quarterback is better, but the overall offense of Michigan State with that running back right now, I'll take that offense right now as far as controlling the tempo of the game, because with the way we've seen Oklahoma play, they have to rely on airing it out, which is how you win football games. I get it, but Michigan State is a team to me that can control tempo from beginning to end, to where Oklahoma is trying to figure themselves out, and they need a full 4 quarters to do it. I'm not big on Oklahoma. I'm not big on Cincinnati. Not saying they don't deserve to be in the top 4, and I'm not going to lose sleep if they're in the top 4. But what I don't want to hear tonight is if Cincinnati's not in, they didn't screw you over. There is a lot of reasons to put you in, but there's more reasons to keep you out. There's a lot of reasons to put Ohio State in. There's reasons to keep them out. Georgia's the only one that they don't even need to turn on the tube tonight. See, that's another thing I say that makes me old. The tube. What time are you going to turn on the tube tonight, Kevin? Are you a tube guy?
You probably say.
Where's the clicker? Has anyone seen the clicker? Oh, you're all right. Excuse me. Anyone got the clicker?
Oh my goodness!
We didn't have a remote growing up.
Thought.
Look, we were poor growing up. We didn't have the clicker. We had pliers. That's what we had to go change the channel with.
I was the clicker. Go change the channel. That's what used to happen in my household. Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's no doubt about it. A lot of teams have arguments. So whatever the outcome is tonight, we all know that's not going to be the final when it really matters. So if I'm a UC fan, or what I would suggest to UC fans, save that anger into the last week, because you might need it. Because if you're getting upset right now, imagine if you're at 4 now, next week, and the week after that, and the week after that, and then come championship week, you win, and then you're at 5. Because that can happen.
That's why they won't be in tonight. That's why I'm adamant about that. I believe that scenario is why the committee will not put them in tonight.
So who not to cut you off. So what do you think the committee is going to do? Not the Kenners. Yeah. Not the Kenners. What do you think that they're going to do?
I think, and again, there's 7 new members on this 13-member committee. So there's that. It's going to be hard to kind of gauge what their thinking is. It's shaken up a bit. But Cincinnati's best opportunity is that there's 7 new fresh eyes back in the committee that might have a different perception on how they view the Cincinnati's of the world. I don't know, though. Georgia obviously won.
Mm-hmm.
I think Alabama and Ohio State are 1A and 1B, or 2A and 2B at that point. So I'll just say, because I know how it works, Alabama 2.
Okay.
I believe Ohio State should be 3. Now, I know Oregon beat them. And I saw Jeff Schwartz today. I mean, Jeff Schwartz was so dramatic. I mean, he said that, for one, Oregon kicked Ohio State's ass. That did not happen. I don't know what game he was watching, but it is what it is. Because Oregon playing really, really good football had to beat Ohio State, who wasn't playing great football, and still had to, Ohio State almost beat Oregon not playing good football. That's the guy. Oregon has to play perfect football to beat Ohio State. Ohio State almost beat them and wasn't playing perfect football. So anyways, that's a separate argument. But anyway, I'll get to that point in a moment. Georgia 1, Alabama 2, Ohio State 3. I think Michigan State 4. Or Oklahoma. It'll be Michigan State or Oklahoma at 4. That's if they stick to the 4 best teams. 4 best teams, the 4 that are complemented by the 4 best resumes. Now, even if they go the resume route, I don't know what Cincinnati should hope for. Cincinnati, do you want the committee to have the mindset of the 4 best teams? Because you're not getting in then. And even the 4 best resumes, I'm not sure they have a top 4 resume.
Well, we all know in the years past that the committee picks and chooses when they're going to say what to fit whatever narrative it is that week. So 1 week it could be, oh, their resume isn't this, that, the third. And then the following week it is going to be like, well, their schedule isn't this, that, and the third. And then the following week, well, the competition. And then the following week, oh, somebody was missing a player. I remember that. I remember Oregon was missing an offensive lineman, and they had them lower, and then the offensive lineman came back, and then they had them ranked higher. Like they pick and choose whatever they want. Mm-hmm. And that is why I know you're a fan of that, but I am not a fan of that. I even though I love the sport of college football more than the NFL, I think the NFL is more justified. And I understand there's only 30-something teams in the NFL and things aren't, quote unquote, equal in college football. I agree. I think this is how it's going to roll out. I think it's going to roll out with Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, or Ohio State, Bama, then Michigan State. I wouldn't even be mad if Michigan State is number 2, to be perfectly honest. If Michigan State is 2, I wouldn't be mad at that. I mean, yeah. I think they got the best win. I think they got the best win out of anybody. And then UC, no, I think Oregon has the best win. I think Oregon has the best win, then Michigan State, and then UC. Agreed. I think those are the top wins in the country. And for UC, the problem is they have a top 3 win, but then they don't have any other wins to back them up. And that's tough to go up against the committee. Even though, Ohio State, they're beating teams and they're blowing those teams out. I personally think the teams that they beat, UC probably would beat as well, but that's not how the game is played. At least that's not how I see the game being played. I actually heard the committee say this before, like, well, if we took these 2 teams on a neutral field, we think this team will be favored over them. And I'm like, that's not how the game is played, though. Like, that's not how it's played. So I just, it's so subjective. It's so subjective.
But you can't stick to a set criteria because it's a race that nobody starts from the same starting blocks. Cincinnati has a strength of schedule of 94. Everyone else that's contending is in the 60s or below. Like that alone, that right there. I know it seems very simple, and Bearcat fans get so mad. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sick of hearing about strength of schedule." You're only so sick of hearing about it because that's the number one factor that hurts you. That's why you're sick of hearing about it. You can't just make that go away. Well, we beat Notre Dame. Okay, Ohio State just beat Penn State. You have a better win than Ohio State does. But at the same time, Ohio State's played tougher competition than you. They've dominated that better competition than what you've had. You've struggled against Navy. You struggled against Tulane. You pulled away from them late. Now, I'm not picking on them because I just nitpicked Alabama for the Tennessee thing a few weeks ago. Like, it's not like they bludgeoned Tennessee. The final score indicates that. Watch the game. That's not what necessarily happened. So that's kind of where I'm at when it does come to that, as far as that's concerned. But I mean, Luke Fickell came out today and apologized for punting on that 4th down because the team and the fans were upset about the fact that he punted it and that they should have gone for it because to keep it down. But the fans knew, like everyone knows, the style.
You don't need to apologize to nobody, out to the public. The only people
done
need
kind of a joking way, I believe.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's a topic. The reason he's joking or bringing it up in the press conference is because it's a topic of conversation, because people are aware that Cincinnati, you're pissed off at him for not going for it because you knew we're not playing good enough for us to punt right here. We have to run this score up. We have to do our best. And sometimes when you're playing to run the score up instead of just being good, that's 2 different things. When you're playing to run the score up, you're not looking as good. When you naturally just overwhelm a team, so that's where I'm at with the Bears. I'm not anti-Bearcats, but I'm also not, we got to put them in because they're a good story. And if they don't get in, then no non-Power 5 team will ever get it. Well, yeah, that might be the reality of it, unfortunately. And Bearcat fans, you might get upset, but that's where you need to go back to what the big news was for your program before the season, which was you joining a Power 5 conference here in a few years in the Big 12 at that point. So some Bearcat fans say, well, they'll screw them over then at that point. And I'm like, no, just win your games. I mean, winning out doesn't guarantee you anything right now. Oh, but it does for Ohio State. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the case. That's just, life's not fair. That's the reality. So to your point about you wish it was more narrowed down to like these 3 set things.
Yes.
Well, it's kind of, you can't do that when not everyone's playing the same level of competition each week. In the NFL, you could even say, you could talk about strength of schedule. I think the Browns have like the 3rd most difficult schedule the rest of the way. The Bengals have the 7th. But, you got to you talk about the toughest schedule versus the easiest schedule in the NFL, it still doesn't match out to what Cincinnati's going up against in college and what Ohio State is. When you still have Michigan State, when you still have Michigan, you just had Penn State this past weekend. You still have the Big Ten championship game, which, by the way, how about the West? I thought that the West was carrying. I thought that the West was finally contributing to the Big Ten this year. And then all of a sudden I look, the team that's in first place in the West lost to Bowling Green.
Quit disrespecting the MAC conference, man. Goodness gracious.
Oh, man. We got Jason Fitz coming up next. It's the Justin Kidder Show with Kev Nash. Buckeye fans, stop rushing the field when you beat multiple lost teams, would you? Who they got this weekend, huh? Who were they?
Nebraska at noon.
I know it's at Nebraska, but
Well, that's 11 a.m.
But if it was at Nebraska, would you? What's at 11 a.m.?
Well, Nebraska is an hour behind us.
But it's noon us, though, right?
Yeah. So but their body clocks is going to be 11 a.m. Watch out.
All right, Jason Fitz joins us next.
It's the Justin Kidder Show.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be partly cloudy, a high near 48. Tonight will also be partly cloudy, a low near 28. And tomorrow will be partly cloudy, a high near 45. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But our Spanish
is pretty bad. So we're using Babbel.
Babbel's conversation-based method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive, bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said, now we speak Spanish.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Big news from Simply Safe Home Security. Okay. Actually, I think the horns are too much. That's better. Big news. The new wireless outdoor security camera is here. Yes, Simply Safe's award-winning home security just got even better, taking whole home protection to a whole new level. Okay, I'm missing the horns. Simply Safe is celebrating this new camera with 30% off a new system this week. Visit simplysafe.com.
From city streets to back roads, from road warrior to carpooler, there are some things you can always count on, like the reliability, durability, and power of DieHard, America's most trusted auto battery. No matter where your journey takes you, count on DieHard to get you started on the road ahead. Available at your local Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest stores.
Hi, welcome to Furniture Depot. And you, come on in.
Couches are flying off the floor at Cheyenne's Furniture Store.
Sarah, can you go over to dining sets, please?
She needs more sales associates before shoppers take their seats elsewhere.
Can somebody get me a price check on trundle beds?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
What can give you a competitive edge in today's red-hot housing market? Rocket can. That's because Rocket Mortgage can give you a verified approval. It could help your offer stand out. Rocket Technology provides a rock-solid verification of your income, assets, and credit, giving sellers greater confidence in you. Go to rocketmortgage.com or call us today at 8338-ROCKET.
A verified approval is based on an underwriter's analysis of your individual financial information, appraisal, and title report. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender license in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Fever is the leading symptom of COVID and the flu, and the only way to reliably detect fever is with an accurate thermometer. Be vigilant and be accurate with the Exergen Temporal Scanner, proven in more than 100 clinical studies. Don't rely on non-contact thermometers. They are proven to be inaccurate and will not reliably detect a fever that might mean COVID. Be sure to seek medical advice at the first sign of fever. Learn more at Exergen.com.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
See Columbus Equipment Company, 7570 New Carlisle Pike in Dayton.
518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. Bearcat fans not happy with me right now. Look, I'm not anti-Bearcats. I wasn't even attacking the Bearcats. I'm just pointing out the flaws. And look, as we all know, no one likes to be told. No one likes to hear about their flaws. We all want to be told. I'm 5'5.5". I want to be told I'm tall. All right. I want to be told I'm skinny. All right. I want to be told a lot of things about me. But that's not the case. I laugh like, but my friends, when they make fun of me for being fat, and they're like, "Oh, Kinder's probably getting mad." I'm like, "Why? I'm fat. Like, I can't change that. I can, and I've done a pretty good job of it. But like the Bearcats, you can't get mad. There's no denying that you only won by a possession against Navy. There's no denying that for 3.5 quarters against Tulane, it was kind of a dogfight a little bit. Like, there's no denying you won, and that's all you can do. But stop getting mad because people point out the flaws. We point out the flaws of Ohio State. We talk about that bad defense. We've talked about Kerry Combs. We talk about Alabama's flaws. Georgia sports radio in Georgia today has to be boring as hell, don't you think? Let's bring on our guest, ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. Jason, how do you think sports radio? I feel bad for Georgia fans. Their team's so good that they're not even talking about tonight. I feel bad for them.
Well, look, number one, what we just learned is you need shorter friends. Like, the most important thing to being tall is having somebody else in your friend group that's a little bit shorter than you are, because then you can sort of deflect that. I'm 5'9.25". You better believe I've always got a 5'5" friend in every circle. Like, that's important, So maybe we find you like a 5'2" friend. That feels like that would make some sense.
It's tough
but you're
to
right. But you're totally right when it comes to this is at the end of the day. By the way, not only do we constantly talk about the flaws of every single team, but we usually talk about the flaws of every other team, and then we get mad when anybody talks about our flaws, which is the weirdest part about college football fandom. Like, everybody's convinced that their team is perfect, is a perfect 10, is a supermodel, and everybody else is Ugly Betty in the room, and it just doesn't work that way.
We have ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz with us here on 1410. ESPN Radio, the very first college football playoff rankings come out tonight. Now, you and Mike Golick Jr., of course, you have your rankings reaction. What makes the first one so special? And we want to compare it to years past. Kevin and I talked about this earlier. I can't remember the last time we didn't know who teams 1 through 3 were going to be. Usually we're debating who's going to be 4. I mean, tonight's show is going to be a blast for you guys, I'm sure, because there's so many unknowns.
Well, yeah, and I think one of the biggest unknowns that's not being talked about enough, honestly, is the unknown of this committee. Like, this is an all-new committee. Every year there are differences to the committee, and this year there's a lot of new members sitting there. So, I think Heather Dinich pointed out earlier that the first half hour today was introductions, right? Like, so you got to start thinking about that portion of it. We have no idea what this committee values, and that in and of itself is, I think, the most interesting part of it. We're going to find out quickly, like, do they care about what your record is more than they care about the eye test? Do they care about the eye test more than they care about head-to-head? Like, Oregon, Ohio State is one of the most interesting things that's out there, because how do they value a head-to-head win for two teams that are both playing well right now?
Jason, I always say, people bring up, and Kev says this all the time too. Look, winning has to matter. Head-to-heads have to matter. And I always say, look, when it comes to Ohio State to Oregon, I do believe it does matter. If Oregon would have just beat any old random small team in week 2 when they played Ohio State, and they had that loss, they wouldn't be rewarded with still being in the conversation for one of these top spots right now. So they're being rewarded for their win over Ohio State by having a loss and still having the opportunity to have that loss be overlooked for beating Ohio State. So just because people are talking about putting Ohio State ahead of Oregon, I don't necessarily think that means, that the win Oregon had over Ohio State means nothing. It meant something. By beating Ohio State, they're still in the conversation despite having a loss. I think that people forget that. They just like to say that, that the committee doesn't care that they beat Ohio State. They do. They're being rewarded for it by still being in the conversation of, being in the top 4 spots.
But what you're talking about right there is the very essence, and you're right, by the way, but it's the very essence of the entire problem with the conversation around college football and the rankings every year, is that everybody finds one thing that should matter. And realistically, it's not one thing, it's 100 things to this committee, right? So, like, that's the hardest part about it is, does head-to-head matter? Yes. Does it matter more than your overall record? It depends on the person. Does it matter more than the eye test? It's going to depend on the person. Like, everybody's opening this basket of ingredients, and they're the same, but they're all allowed to use different amounts of every single ingredient. So even though the criteria is well laid out for what they're supposed to factor in, every person is going to take a little bit extra of this and a little bit less of that that they care about. So one person might think head-to-head is the most important part of it, but another person's going to say, well, why do I care about head-to-head more than the eye test and the way they're playing now or who they've lost to? Like, you're 100% right. Past committees have valued who you lost to even more than who you beat, and I don't know what this committee is going to do.
Crazy. I did want to ask you about Michigan State, Michigan. Mel Tucker is now 2-0 versus Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh continues to struggle against top-level competition. What's going to happen at Michigan? I mean, he already took a pay cut. They've hired more assistants for him. What is going to happen with Jim Harbaugh in Michigan if they're not able to beat Ohio State in that last game of the season and go to the Big Ten championship?
I mean, I think there's chaos if they don't beat Ohio State. But at the same time, like, if you're Michigan, you've got this constant, who else are we going to get? And are they actually going to be better? Part of the conversation, that's always tricky. I've got to look at Mel Tucker, though. I think the most incredible part of this is he's rebuilt this after 2 bad recruiting years. I mean, 2 of the worst years they've ever had recruiting at Michigan State. And he went out and got 26 transfers out of the transfer portal. Like, he went out and basically said, look, I can't recruit high school kids. They don't want to come play here. So if I can recruit transfers, it'll change the conversation for future high school kids. I think that's happening in front of our eyes. I got to give Mel Tucker a lot of credit for getting creative in the way he rebuilt this Michigan State roster quickly. And, like, I know they don't have another win over a 500 or better Power 5 team right now other than Michigan. But, again, this is a Michigan State team that, whether it's because we've never seen it before in recent years or whether it's just because it's really good, they actually have competent offense with a bunch of playmakers. They're fun to watch. Like, the eye test on Michigan State forward really well. So Michigan has got to be looking at it saying, okay, that's a loss, but it's an epic loss in an epic game. Can you bounce back from it? I don't know, but if Harbaugh doesn't at least look competitive against Ohio State, I'm looking at Michigan saying, what are you paying for?
So fast forward into the Ohio State-Michigan State game, and we're doing something that we know we shouldn't be doing, especially in college football, thinking that both teams are going to win out until they play each other on the 20th. What do you think that matchup is going to be like when the Buckeyes take on Michigan State? Because that Michigan State power running game and that physical defense versus the high-fly offense of the Buckeyes, where do you think this is going to happen?
I think that there are holes to be exposed in the secondary of Michigan State at times, and they've been able to get away with it. I just don't know that you can get away with it against those weapons as well as Stroud is now playing. And that's hard. Like, I think Ohio State's one of the hardest teams to figure out in this process because I think they'll win that game, by the way. I think they're better than Michigan State. And there's no shame for Michigan State turning around and being a one-loss team, which by the end of the year, I think they very well could be going to a bowl game. Like, that's 10 years ahead of schedule for where anyone thought Mel Tucker would have them. But I keep looking at Ohio State saying they're one of the trickiest teams to figure out because my metric for the playoff, if I was on the committee, is very simple. They're charged with the 4 best teams. That's what they're asked to find. And I always say it's the 4 best of the 4 most deserving. But now the very simple question I ask every single person when we get into this debate is, if you had to bet every dollar you would make for the rest of your life, neutral field, Ohio State versus, and then pick your team, how are you going? Like, I think Ohio State is a top 4 team right now. And I know they have a loss. I still think they're playing at a top 4 level. So if I had a vote in the college football committee, I'd be hard-pressed to not put Ohio State in the top 4 because today, right now, they're playing like one of the best teams in the country in a weird year.
How should Bearcats fans feel right now? I keep saying that because everyone keeps saying that, that they're not getting the respect that they deserve. I said you are, because in years past, UCF went undefeated for 2 straight years. They weren't even in the conversation. Last year, Cincinnati was talked about, but not, having a real shot. I said they are getting the respect because they're in the conversation, and most non-Power 5 schools would not be. You could argue, Jason, Wake Forest, they're not in the conversation, and their fans could probably make a gripe about that. They're undefeated too. So it's like, I tell Bearcat fans, you are getting respect. You're in the conversation. How could you say you're not? Wake Forest is a Power 5 school that's undefeated. No one's talking about them right now. So what's your response on your show tonight? I'm sure you're going to have a lot of Bearcat fans coming at you as well. How do you respond to Bearcat fans right now that feel like they're being disrespected by having people question whether they deserve to be in the top 4 or not?
So a couple of layers to this. Number one,
and I won't tell Mo Egger what you say, by the way.
I have yet to talk to a single college football expert that we have that doesn't say, man, Cincinnati's really good. Everybody knows Cincinnati's really good. The question is always, and this is always the group of 5 question, fair or not. And I sat in the mock committee a few years ago. We debated a prior year. The Blake Bortles UCF year was the year we had. And the argument that some of the guys were making loudly was, all right, well, if that team had to play the SEC West that year, would they have still been undefeated? And those are the types of arguments that the committee's having. And all you can do in that situation is use your best guess. Like, you look at the size of the players, you look at the skill position and the speed that they have it, and ask yourself, okay, how would this team fare against that team's schedule? Those are real metrics and real conversations that the committee's going to have. I think Cincinnati's done everything they possibly could. But I go back to the previous comment, and I'll ask you, if you had to bet the rest of your house and every dollar you're ever going to make for the rest of your life today between Alabama and Cincinnati on a neutral field, who are you taking?
Bama.
Right. So there's your answer to who's a better team, right? Like that, to me, it's that simple. Like if you aren't comfortable saying, you know what, I'd lay it all on the line for this team to beat that team. Like if you today had to make the decision, Cincinnati versus Ohio State, neutral field, every dollar you're able to make for the rest of your life, I think most people would put Ohio State there. So like these are the arguments that hurt Cincinnati, right or wrong. If you're charged with fighting the four best, I don't really care that you're undefeated. Like at the end of the day, it's a broken system to some that we only have 4 playoff teams and there are 5 conference champions. So we know that, plus a group of 5. So winning a conference championship isn't the reason you get in. And we've gotten to a point in society where having one loss isn't going to keep you out. Like if Bama's playing better than an undefeated Cincinnati team, then by the way the law is written for what they're supposed to do, then Alabama should be higher. Like I think that's going to be the problem for Cincinnati. I'm prepared. I hope Cincinnati's in the top 4 because I think it's a great story. I'm prepared to see Cincinnati at 5 or 6.
Kev's going to jump in here in just a second, but you brought up a good point about all the conference champions getting in, and I just don't think every year the conference champ is worthy of being in. For instance, if the Big Ten championship was set today, Ohio State would have a rematch with Minnesota, who lost to Bowling Green, and let's say Ohio State stubs their toe and loses to Minnesota somehow. You would have a team that lost to Bowling Green get the auto bid to the college football playoff over a lot more well-deserving team. That's why to this day I will never support the idea of 5 conference champions getting the auto bid to get in. I can't get behind that at all. But Kev, I'll let you chime back in. But I had to throw that in when you brought that up because I'm like, even if you expand to 8 or 12, I'm still not a fan of the 5 conference champs getting the auto bid to get in, to be honest.
Fitz, I'm 100% with you. And by the way, I've talked to the committee chair in the past about it. That's the exact reason that they've always used for not wanting auto bids in the past. We'll see how it goes with playoff expansion. But the anti-auto bid conversation has always been it won't fix anything if somehow a 4-loss Pac-12 team is suddenly automatically in the playoff. Is anybody saying, oh, yay, like a few years ago, Sam Darnold's year when USC lost 3 games? By the end of the year, they were clearly one of the best teams in college football, but how do you put a 3-loss USC team in? Well, if it's an auto bid, they still have a shot at it depending on how the Pac-12 plays out. Nobody wants that. So, it's a fine line.
Fitz, are you a fan of how the committee operates where we don't have a clear set of rules or a clear set of standards on how we're going to pick this? Kind of like how, the committee for March Madness, like they have, I know they don't use it anymore, like the RPI, and they look at these type of metrics and everything like that. Are you cool with the way they just like one week it's this, the next week it's a different set of rules that they say they're ranking the teams? Do you want a clear, defined definition, or are you cool with this just randomness that it seems like it is every week?
I'm okay with the randomness to a certain extent. I'll say it this way. Like if you got 13 of the best musicians I've ever met in my life in one room and asked us what the best band is right now or who the best guitar player is in the world, we'd have a heated debate. And the following week, we'd have the heated debate again and might not come up with the same answers because it depends on what you've seen that week and what you heard that week and all these different variables. The one thing that I'm not cool with is, frankly, if college football, if they really wanted to help the world out, they would web broadcast the entire the entire debate process. Or at the very least, they would put every committee member up on a stage when they make the announcement and make them all right then available to media in that moment to answer the whys. That's the thing. Like, I am proud to have a Grammy vote, and what comes with the Grammy vote in my mind is a why for whatever vote I make. And I better be comfortable defending myself. And sometimes it stinks when, I voted for Taylor Swift a few years ago to win for Grammy for the record of the year. And everybody thought I'd lost my damn mind because she's Taylor Swift. But my argument that I stood by in that moment as a Grammy voter was, if you've created the record that for the next 20 years people will hear and they'll think of that summer and that year and that moment, that deserves some credit. And that's part of what making music's about. That may not be a popular argument, but it mattered to me, and I was prepared to defend it. I think the committee should be prepared, person to person, to defend every single decision they made, the hows and the whys, every single week, so they can answer those questions transparently. That would eliminate the problem to me.
Yeah, I like that. But you brought it up. So who is the best guitar player of all time?
Oh, of all time, God, I mean, my incredible bias to Richie Sambora, just because that was my first concert. Bon Jovi was my heroes, were my heroes growing up. But of all time, I mean, I'm going to lean somewhere between Prince and Jimi Hendrix.
Okay.
But I'm not going to be confident about either of those. But I'm going to go Prince or Jimi Hendrix is going to be. And Prince may be the most amazing musician of all time and doesn't get the credit for it.
I was going to say Jimi Hendrix or Slash, but okay.
Slash is a top one for me also. By the way, if anyone's ever read Slash's autobiography, what's so funny about it is, like, he admits it when he was on the Velvet Revolver tour. At that point, he had a pacemaker because he'd taken so many drugs, and he was getting such a rush playing on stage that it was giving him mini heart attacks during his solo while they had to continue to adjust his pacemaker for the adrenaline. So that's rock and roll, people.
Oh, my goodness. That's nuts.
This is awesome.
ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. Jason will send you out with this. Look, OBJ's dad is dropping videos like he's Kim Kardashian today. That's created like quite the stir. And I guess, you have Higgins, who I'm just finding out apparently liked the tweet or the Instagram post of the video that was released. You have Baker Mayfield's wife, who's, sharing videos or sharing tweets and liking tweets of people attacking OBJ. And it's just become an absolute disaster. I'm a big Browns fan, and everyone always comes at me. My old co-host used to say, until further notice, they're still the Cleveland Browns. And, him and I would butt heads over that. Well, he's not wrong. Until further notice, they're still the Cleveland Browns. What the heck is going on? Like, this is a complete disaster for a team that has too much working against it with injuries. You add the locker room drama on top of it. How is this team going to find a way to dig themselves out of this hole moving forward?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And, it's rare because, guys, I'm a big believer in you don't just trade to trade, especially we see all of this. Oh, I'm going to trade him and get future assets for it. Well, who cares about future assets in a league that's so year to year? Like, if I've got a team that's on the cusp of the playoffs, I'm not trading an important part of it for future assets for anything. But this is the rare exception to that rule because I'm not sure that you can handle that personality in the locker room the right way. And so, I'm a little surprised that the videos didn't just sort of force the Browns' hands. But ultimately, if you're the Browns, you're looking at it and saying, hey, if I believe that you can still contribute, I'm in the thick of the playoff hunt. So I don't really care if you're happy. I care if I can get the catches out of you that I need to get out of you. So they must believe that they can still get valuable reps out of him. Otherwise, I think he honestly would be gone. Like, he might have gone too far. But when it comes to the Twitter drama, I will only say this. Like, one of the most polarizing people for his opinions that I ever worked with at ESPN was Will Cain. And Will Cain definitely has fans and haters on both sides of it. I often like Will Cain tweets. I just want to remind the world it's not always because I agree with what Will's saying or the network he's even saying it on. I'm not here to talk about any of that. What I do agree with is I love it when my friends get opportunities, and I love it when they're doing fun stuff that's cool. So I love it. I like the tweets because I like the dude as a human being outside of everything else. So just remember that in the Twitter conversation. That's all I ask everybody to do.
Oh, absolutely. Last thing on OBJ here before we let you go. I know it's a big, busy night for you with the first rankings coming out, but the one thing I said too, you have not a lot of teams expressed interest in OBJ, and I know a lot of people are blaming that the Browns aren't using him correctly, Keyshawn Johnson and others, and I said that there's not one, like, I don't think he's a victim. I don't think OBJ is a victim in Cleveland. I don't think Cleveland's the victim. I think that it just didn't work out. But I do believe that if those around the league who desperately need a receiver or someone to put them over the top heading into the final stretch of the season, if teams truly believe that he is still a great elite receiver that is just not being used properly, I feel like there would be more interest in him. I'm not saying he's a washed up bad receiver now, but I do believe that if the teams truly believe that he was still at the elite level, that they can come and save him from Cleveland, and that hasn't been the case. What's your response to that view of it too? Because I just feel like if teams felt that he was a great receiver just being restricted by the system, that they can go pull him out and make him great again. How do you view that?
Yeah, 2 words, Antonio Brown. Doesn't matter who you are off the field. Doesn't matter what you've done off the field to most teams. If you can play, they'll find you a way to acquire you, and they'll put you on the team, and they'll give you one more chance. The fact that we haven't seen that for Odell Beckham Jr., I think, speaks to what the teams are willing to take on from him. And at the end of the day, they will handle whatever headache is there as long as the production warrants it. So the fact that nobody took the headache on means that most teams don't think the production is there to back it up.
rankings reaction. What time tonight? How can people tune in to you and Mike Golick Jr., of course, during the rankings tonight?
That'd be 8 o'clock tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, and you can check it out on any social or digital or on the ESPN app. So Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, ESPN app. You can just go to the ESPN handles. We'll be all over it, getting it covered in every single way tonight. I hope Cincinnati's on the top four, in the top four.
All right, good stuff. Jason, thanks so much. We're looking forward to seeing you on the show tonight. Take care.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, Jason Fitz, ESPN Radio. Good stuff there, as always. But we're done with the OBJ stuff. And I mean, if we have callers on hold, which we do.
We never done with OBJ.
Continue to talk about the trade deadline. I mean, we're an hour past the trade deadline. He's still in Cleveland. But I guess Baker's wife, like everyone that's tweets about OBJ that are bad, like she's liking him and all this stuff. And then I guess Rashard Higgins, I will say this. Cleveland got rid of you. No one wanted you. They brought you back because he's one of the few, Baker and him have a good chemistry on the. You're only able to play in the NFL because of Baker, and you're going to go against Baker here, who made you somebody because when they released him, when Andrew Berry came over and they released him initially or made him available, no one touched him. No one wanted him. So that's why I'm annoyed right there. For whatever reason, you know how every quarterback has that one guy that doesn't seem to work for other people. I mean, we're starting to see that with Cobb in Green Bay, who's a very good receiver. But everyone thought he was washed up and done, and now he's really good receiver in Green Bay again. I'm not comparing Higgins to Cobb or Baker to Aaron. I'm just saying that there's sometimes, regardless of talent, there's a connection that just elevates talent.
You see it the same way they see it.
Yeah, Aaron is elevating Cobb. Cobb wasn't Cobb when he was with Houston and wherever else he was before. So that's kind of the relationship between Higgins and Baker. Higgins is nobody without Baker, and that's not Higgins is bad, but there's just something about him. I think Jamar Chase would be great no matter where he went, but there is something about him and Burrow that they elevate each other. Would Jamar Chase be good with any other great quarterback? Probably, but we've never seen a receiver come into the league and look like a finished product the way we've seen Jamar Chase, and I think it's because of his relationship with Joe Burrow. I just think that sometimes there are quarterback-receiver combos that both are good individually, but they both bring out the best in one another when you put them together. I think that's Higgins and Baker, so I think that's kind of a slap in the face to Baker. I hope the Browns cut Higgins at some point so he can go drown somewhere else and realize that he can't play anywhere else. That irritates me.
As far as all this drama is concerned, I'm laughing simply because it ain't my team. But let's be clear about this. Many teams have proven that they can still win and win big with tons of drama. We've seen it with the Lakers, with Kobe and Shaq, seen it with the Bulls. We've seen it time and time again where the
last title on the Cavs.
There's drama all around and players don't like each other. Players don't like management, but they still get it done. And the ultimate goal is to still win games. And, we've seen it done time and time again. So this doesn't mean the season is over because somebody's wife is liking tweets or somebody's dad is posting videos and another player is retweeting whatever the heck. It just means that there's friction and it needs to get resolved. Maybe somebody need to put the gloves on. Maybe somebody need to have a conversation. Maybe somebody does need to get cut. But the ultimate thing is Sunday at 1:00 versus the Bengals. And then we're going to find out on Monday at 3:00 if Kenner has purple hair or not.
No, right now, this isn't your normal. Nope. By the way, have you watched the show You?
I've
Netflix?
Heard a lot about it. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet because I'm backed up on shows because we are going to start Yellowstone finally next week.
Okay, I don't care.
So we're going to do Yellowstone, then we're going to go You. So that is the pecking order.
So ever since my fiance pointed this out, I can't watch You anymore because it freaks me out. The guy that I forgot the main character's name. The guy that the main character of You. Look him up. It's clean-faced, skinny Baker Mayfield. And I can't unsee it. And it drives me nuts. They even talk the same, they have the same cadence to their voice. It irritates me. The guy who, I was going to say the guy who plays You. What the hell is the name? I don't even know. My fiance and I, we watched the show. I can't remember what his name is in the show. But the main character in You, if Baker Mayfield shaved his face and his face was a tad skinnier, he would be, they'd be brothers. They even talk the same. Just saying.
Joe Goldberg.
Joe, there we go. Joe, yes. Joe just is a fatter faced Joe with the beard. Hulu has
I'm looking at it.
Hulu has
He does.
It's weird. And I'm like, why did you point that out to me? That's all I see now. And now I can't pay attention to how he's murdering people. What the hell? Well, speaking of that, Baker's murdering the career of OBJ. Or is he? Anyways, college football players, Bearcat fans, I want to hear from you. How confident are you? Will the Bearcats be in the playoff Final Four tonight in the very first college football playoff rankings? Shaw, I don't know if you're still on hold. Call back. I've bumped you the last 2 days. I haven't done it on purpose, but give us a call back. I know we do have a line open now. 518-1410. Let's talk some college football playoffs, shall we? The Bearcats, I don't know. So I want to say adamantly they're not in the 4 tonight. But if we're going to go by the rules of Jason Fitz, if you're saying if you have to put all the money that you have on the line, all $10 of it, would you put that on the line or saying that Cincinnati won't be in? And I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. This is the biggest unknown out there. I don't believe they should be 4. I believe they should be top 5. They'll be 5. We'll see how it works. We'll be back. 518-1410. Kenner and Kev will be back in a moment.
Call It Propane has been serving the Buckeye Nation in the Miami Valley for over 65 years.
Let our family help protect your family from old man winter. Find out why 98% of our customers would recommend us to friends and family. Ask about the service options at 937-372-9194.
Family owned and operated for 3 generations, Call It Propane and Call It Seal Coating are proud to serve the Buckeye Nation.
College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers here to tell you about OGW Energy Resources. If you own a home or a business and want to save money, then going solar with OGW Energy Resources is the way to go. OGW Energy Resources have been helping the Miami Valley save money by going solar for over 14 years. There is no better time than now to look into going solar. For more information, check out their website at ogwenergyresources.com. Go solar today. OGW Energy Resources. Your energy, your future. Control it.
Your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits is also the home for value. Frickers! Frickers' everyday values begin on Monday with boneless frickin' chicken wings. Tuesday offers traditional frickin' chicken wings. On Wednesday, enjoy a steak dinner. And on Thursday, frickin' chicken chunks. Kids eat free every day. And your favorite events are on TVs everywhere. The home for everyday values is the home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers!
The original stuffed crust from Pizza Hut is so cheesy you'll want to eat it backwards. But what if we played this song backwards?
One topping, just $12.99.
No one out-pizzas the Hut. Ask for a limited time offer. Not available in some locations. Exclusions apply. Extra charge for more toppings and extra cheese.
Would you like a cleaning product that can be used in the garage, the laundry, and the kitchen, and save space in your cabinet? Hi, I'm Bruce Fabrizio, inventor of Simple Green. To learn more, visit us at simplegreen.com.
Cleanliness and safety are essential to the success of any business. That's why Cintas has introduced our Total Clean program, a one-of-a-kind service that includes scheduled deliveries of essential cleaning supplies, hygienically cleaned uniforms, and on-site sanitizer and disinfectant services to help eliminate germs. Learn what the Cintas Total Clean program can do for you.
Oh, I'm ready!
Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year. Learn more at discover.com/match. Limitations apply.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com. DaytonRoofing.com.
Dayton Barrel Works Bourbon and Whiskey Bash is Saturday, November 20th, noon till 3 p.m. Over 40 bourbons and whiskeys to sample. For tickets, call 937-228-2337. Dayton Barrel Works, 318 East 2nd Street in Dayton.
Do you or any of your family members, neighbors, or friends own a property that you just want to be done with it? If so, call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you to take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. Call 614-470-2000. I buy properties as is. Make no repairs. Take what you want and leave the rest behind. We make selling easy. I buy vacant properties, pre-foreclosures, and inherited homes. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorces, death in the family, back taxes. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Well, I started my own restaurant because I love to cook, but that also means a lot of greasy pots and pans. And we can't waste time with endless sink changeovers. So we upgraded to Dawn Professional Pot and Pan.
Dawn Professional cleans 58% more pots and pans per sink than the leading competitor.
Less dish soap, fewer changeovers, and more time doing what we love.
Dawn Professional. It's clean. Upgraded. From P&G Professional.
Hi, my name is Ted, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Peppermint Chip Shake is when the peppermint shake is available, that's to me sort of announces that the holiday season is here. I guess most people count down the days until Christmas, but me, I count down the days until the shake comes out.
Hi, I'm Michaela, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Peppermint Chip Milkshake is that first sip when you taste the peppermint chip pieces, it's like catching snowflakes on your tongue.
Share a peppermint chip milkshake from Chick-fil-A this holiday. Available for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
I'm Serena Williams. You watch me live on TV.
And I'm the girl from that alien movie you watch on demand. Our worlds have been brought together thanks to DirecTV Stream.
Why are you whispering?
Because the alien will hear us.
Maybe let the alien know you can get DirecTV Stream with no annual contract.
He seems pretty excited by that, actually.
Introducing DirecTV Stream, the best of live TV and on demand with no annual contract. Get your TV together at DirecTV.com.
Requires high-speed internet and compatible device. Content varies by package and location. Restrictions apply.
Finding the right Medicare plan may feel impossible, but now it's anything but. With Walgreens Find RX coverage tool, you can compare plans online, over the phone, or in person, making Medicare easier than ever. Easier than picking which true crime doc to watch, figuring out that Wi-Fi password, or putting the duvet cover back on. So if you can do those things, with Find RX coverage, you can definitely Medicare. Find the plan that's right for you by visiting walgreens.com/Medicare.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Modernize your home's lighting at Menards. Turn any recessed light into an energy-efficient LED downlight. Retrofit lights are dimmable, easy to install, and can change color temperatures. Pick up an 8-pack of 6-inch LED retrofit lights for just $14.99 after sale price and 11% off. That's $15 off. Get it now and update your lighting today. Good through November 6th. Savings are mail-in rebates. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
If you're hiring, you need Indeed. Indeed helps you attract, screen, and interview quality candidates all in one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only two places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kidder Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
We are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
zone goes Chris Olave. KJ Hill, 6-yard touchdown catch. Right sideline and down he goes to the end zone.
WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, and we are back, and you heard that right. Tim's Bar and Grill, of course. Huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Now one of the new sponsors of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons. And then, of course, also Talking Out Loud with Sully every Thursday night, an hour-long program dedicated to all things Dayton Flyers basketball. Exhibition game last night against Cedarville, 94-60, I believe, was the final. And that was the first chance that, the Flyer faithful 13,000 fans got to fill up UD Arena and cheer on the Flyers. And I think that was less, no one cared about the opponent or anything like that. It was a chance to get to see a lot of these new kids out on the floor. Anthony Grant has the talent. The talent is definitely there. I don't know. I really can't tell. I don't think they looked bad at all. Again, I'm not basing it on who they played in the game, but individual talent is there. You put it all together, Flyers have something to work with, not just this year, but I know this group right now, they keep them together. They're set moving forward. They're going to keep adding pieces, of course. But individuals right now, my goodness, it's all over the place. I love that Deron Holmes kid. He was on that same AAU team, not AAU, but that prep team with Ty Washington that ultimately ended up going over to Kentucky. And they're drooling over that kid at Kentucky right now. Kentucky finally, Coach Calipari finally put together your typical Calipari Kentucky type roster this year. I don't know what was going on the last couple of years. It's tough to sustain that type of dominance, especially as more and more of these diaper dandies, as more and more of these one and dones, traditionally start being sprinkled out more throughout college basketball. They used to just kind of gravitate towards him, but Kentucky kind of got back in their groove a little bit this year in Calipari. So I don't know if they got the budget back or what happened. No, but in all seriousness, maybe that's a result of NIL. Maybe. Is that a coincidence? Now, I know NIL kind of, their roster, their recruiting was pretty well locked in before NIL really locked in, but maybe they knew NIL was about to be passed through, and they were able to, lead with that on the recruiting trail. But I don't know why all of a sudden now Kentucky returns back to what they were doing in the mid 2010s. But hey, I'll take it. And I know I'm not a big Kentucky fan, but I'm a blue blood fan. I know when people say they love, parodying college basketball. Really, you really tuning in to watch mid majors all season long? I'm not saying you shouldn't, but
there's one mid major I watch.
It's healthy for the sport, for Kentucky and Duke to be good. It's healthy. It wasn't healthy last year for Kansas and Duke. Well, Kansas was up. They were one of the few blue bloods that were still playing well. But you know what I'm saying. That's kind of how I view it. It's not healthy for college basketball when North Carolina's down, Duke's down, Kentucky's down. That's not good for college basketball. So I'm glad to see them kind of back up and rolling.
Yeah, it's a lot of options for high school talent coming to college basketball. Obviously you talked about, guys are realizing I don't necessarily have to go to the Blue Bloods. I can go to whatever school. I can go to Oklahoma State, like Kay Cunningham did, and they give me the ball, and I play all the 5 positions. I get ready for the next level because that's what you're expected to do at the next level. Or I can go to the G League and get paid, or I can go overseas and get paid. So it's a lot of options that these guys are dealing with now. And back in the days, when you're a 5-star guy, you're expected to go 1 of 5 places, and it's not that way anymore. So, they have to make their adjustment, to the new way of college basketball. We talk about Amani Bates, he was committed to Michigan State for so long, and then the options for him opened up. He graduated from high school early, so that was on the table to go to the G League or still go to Michigan State. He ended up going to Memphis to be with Penny Hardaway and everything like that. And what are they going to do? Hey man, in high school you were like a wing, but no, now we're gonna put the ball in your hands. We gonna force you or train you to become a point guard and everything like that. So it's a lot of options out there.
And I will say this, I'm happy for college basketball that Amani Bates went that route, went back to college. Because if he would have gone to the G League, I would have supported that. But it's good for you could tell that although they have options now, these players have more options than ever before. But there is still that competitive nature to these kids that everyone likes to say doesn't exist anymore. like you still want to play in college. Like there is still something special to playing in front of passionate fans, and Memphis has a beyond passionate fan base. Like, I mean, that place is nuts. So to go, like, he's going to go to the G League and play in front of nobody while learning the game, or go learn the game under Penny Hardaway, play in front of a passionate fan base, have a chance to win a national championship. I give credit to these kids who have the option to go make more money in the G League, or to still, while developing for the league, still going to get that college feel of a basketball season. So I respect him for doing that. Again, I'm not down in the kids that choose to go to the G League to go that route, but I do feel like it's healthy for college basketball to have those kids still come here, and there's a value in it. This is why people say, "Oh, the NCAA, they're totally taking advantage of these kids." Yes, the system's not technically fair based on how our society works nowadays. But at the same time, to say that these kids get nothing out of this system that is taking advantage of them in the eyes of most, I disagree, because if that was the case, more of these kids now would be in the G League or playing overseas, as opposed to choosing to go play at college. They choose to play at college because of the experience. The experience provides them with something, which is why I'm not a big fan of when everyone tries to say how horrible the NCAA and college basketball is. Plenty of work for them to do? Absolutely. The NCAA needs to get with the times. But at the same time, saying that, oh, the NCAA, like playing college athletics is so horrible, that's not the case. And if it was the case, you wouldn't see guys like Amani Bates and others pick Cade Cunningham even. You wouldn't see those guys pick college teams over G League teams, when really the thought of an 18-year-old kid going to the G League, think about the kids sitting in high school for our local schools around here. If you go to any of these really good basketball players and say, hey, you want to go to the G League? I mean, you're in the NBA. I mean, you're in the NBA. You're in the show. They're preparing you for the league. Or do you want to go play in college? You would think that those kids would want to go play in the G. No, there's a value to still playing college basketball because of the experience and the atmosphere in itself. I think that no matter how corrupt the NCAA is, that doesn't have any bearing on the experience of playing in front of a passionate fan base, even here at UD Arena especially. I mean, like, you're not going to get that in the G League. You're not going to get that in most NBA cities. So I'm just saying, like, college, I'm glad that he chose college and didn't go that route of playing overseas or playing in the G League.
Yeah, and is having an older brother that played college basketball like Amani Bates did. He experienced his brother playing in environments like that. And I saw an interview with him, and he said that's always something he wanted to be a part of and be a part of March Madness. And he said, no matter how long I'm here, if it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, I can't wait to get in those environments and everything like that. And I do believe if, just say, for instance, we're in a situation where, COVID was still rampant and we weren't allowed to have fans in the building, I do believe he would have went to the G League, because he made it abundantly clear he's in college for the fan experience, for that experience of being on a college campus, being a college student. And, just watching that interview, the exterior that you get from Imani Bates, because we only know these guys from being on the basketball court, is he has his quote unquote business face on. But watching that interview is like, man, I want to be a college kid because, I'm going to be a professional soon. Like, once I'm a professional, like, going to parties and being just a kid is over with. And that is something like his parents stressed to him, like they wanted him to go to college, and I commend him for it.
Yeah, Urban Meyer still to this day wishes he was in college. By the way, Halloween.
Strays,
Halloween. Man. I was real curious, like, because you've seen Halloween costumes. Every year I see the same Halloween costumes come across, Facebook, Twitter, and everything. The best one.
I saw
the best one. It included a blow-up doll, yes. Okay, just get that out of the way. This guy went as Urban Meyer with this blow-up blonde doll just attached to his hip, and he had the Jaguars pullover on, and he had the coach's outfit of the khakis and everything. I mean, he rocked it. He killed it. And I was like, that's perfect. That's so genius. I can't believe more people didn't think of that. That was so freaking funny. That won Halloween for me this past year.
I'm horrible at Halloween costumes. Like, I guess that was 19 when I won the costume contest. I thought of that, like, I don't know, a day before when I went as a serial killer. But, like, I'm normally horrible at costumes, man.
Oh, my goodness. But by the way, did you get a lot of trick-or-treaters this past weekend?
Man, listen.
So, no.
We did. So, initially, we were saying we weren't going to pass out candy. And then, like, about 5 o'clock, so an hour before Beggars Night started, the wife said, yeah, let's pass out candy. So, we go to Walmart. No candy. Go to Meijer. Candy, but it's Christmas candy. So we make a stop at Dollar General, find some bags of candy. So we basically, I wasn't about to be.
You think kids care what wrapper it is? But keep going.
That's a good point. So
shame on the Christmas candy being out in October, but continue.
Yeah, man. So we placed little baggies. Like we went and bought the little sandwich bags and then put like individual bags together. So probably about, 70 bags of candy. So I would throw some on the table out front of the house, open up the window, kids coming up, trick or treat. Yeah, grab one. Be safe. So we do that for like an hour, and then it's like I'm down to my like last 5 bags. So I'm start washing the dishes, and then I see some kids coming up, older kids, mind you, way older kids, like probably high school, like 10th graders. I see them. I was like, all right, trick or treat, Merry Christmas, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They walk away. I go check my camera the next day. The little bastard, can I say that on the radio?
Wow. Look at you. I'm proud of you.
He came back
for you
and took the rest of the candy. Dude, if he didn't have a mask on, I would go up to that high school and be like, hey, you see him? You see him? You see him? You see him? I would hunt him down, man. So because some little kids came to the house as I was packing up the table, trick or treat, and I had nothing to give them. I didn't want to be that guy give them apples or raisins or toothbrush.
So let me get this straight. You put an unattended bowl of candy in your front porch.
I was there. I was there. I was at my window. Where I was sitting at our dining room table, I can see our front door. So I had the window open because I wasn't about to be out there sitting outside. So I'm watching TV. Trick or treat. Hey, how you doing? Be safe out there. Take one. I was saying that to all the groups of kids that was coming up, and everybody followed the rules. I turned my head for 1 second, one measly second to change the channel. Little ruffians, man.
Good for him.
Ruffians. What?
Good for him.
What? No.
Good for him. I mean, my goodness. For one, just kids having fun, just like the guys rushing the field. They're just having fun.
Ah, here you go.
So Nora and I, we can't stand kids. Kids drive us up the wall. Like, we debated for our wedding saying no kids, but we figured that would just cause drama. So whatever, bring your little heathens. That's fine. But she found this idea on Facebook, Twitter, whatever. I can't remember where she found it. She said, look, this is how we get away with not ticking off our whole neighborhood for not giving out candy this year for Halloween. You just take a bowl, put a sign that says just take one, but just put none in there and just have that sitting out.
That's awesome.
Because like you said, like that kid went and stole all of it. So that's all they have. Oh, then when they walk up, like, oh, there's no candy in the bowl. Oh, once this is full when it started. I'm sorry, little Spider-Man. Get the hell out of here. Like that, So there you go. So intent to give out candy. There you go. But just no candy.
That's not
because
bad.
A few years ago, Nora put a sign on our door that said, we are respectfully not participating in trick or treat this year. Please don't knock. Our dogs go crazy. They don't like all the, the ruckus and all that stuff. So, all that did? We were the talk of the neighborhood.
Oh,
can you believe those two?
Egged.
Yeah. Can you believe those two? They think they're too good to give out. No, what do you mean they think we're too good? I'm going to give your kids free candy. Go buy your own kid candy if you want. I'm going to give you I'm going to give cute little Spider-Man Reese's over here so your fat dad can go home and eat it. Like, no, forget that. No, I'm not about that. And by the way, I heard like a lot of people say that they were all set, prepared for trick or treat. No one came through.
Really?
Just like OBJ didn't show up. Yeah.
Spectacular, man.
So,
spectacular.
But yeah.
You brought it up. OBJ, Browns.
Abijah.
Next 4 games. At Bengals, at Pats, home versus the Lions, at Ravens. What's their record?
That's the lineup?
That's the next 4. What's their record after the next 4 games?
Holy crap. They could be 5-7. Beating the Bengals, of course. That's rough. The Patriots are now.
Yeah.
That's not a gimme game. And I didn't think that was a gimme game coming in, but I still thought the Browns were better. But the Browns have been, it's pretty even at that point. Look, I mean, like this is going to come down to the defense. Dan Orlovsky talked about this today, that people are beating up on Baker and the Browns offense and everything, and they do have their flaws, but it's the defense that's been costing them games all year outside of the injuries. So they're 0-2 when scoring over 30 points this year. Like, it's the defense. They put up 30-plus points against the Chiefs. They put up 30-plus points against the Chargers, and that included Baker throwing for 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. They still lost. So the Browns putting up points. They put up points against the Cardinals for a good extent of that until the Cardinals kind of pulled away at the end because the defense couldn't contain it, Kyler Murray and those guys. So It's really going to come down to the defense. I think the offense, as long as the offense doesn't show up like they did against your Steelers this past Sunday, that offense, the Browns aren't going to win a damn game the rest of the way, if that's how the offense is going to look. But as long as the Browns continue to, if they can get back to that comfort zone offensively, and I think Kareem Hunt being out is a problem. I don't remember when they said. Do you remember when they said he could be back? By the way,
I do not.
I knew it was going to be weeks. So it's not for the year, but the faster they can get him back, the better. And usually, when you get him back, usually that first game or two, it's not like they're back. Nick Chubb wasn't the Nick Chubb we were used to seeing against the Steelers. He had a couple big pops here and there, but overall, it doesn't look like himself. So we shall see. I don't know. That's tough. With all this drama going on, the Lions is the only team I see them being capable of beating if they can't get it out of their system before Sunday. The season comes down to Sunday. I'm going to put just the side our Browns Bengals, my little back and forth with them. But in all seriousness, they beat the Bengals on Sunday. They're back and they're moving forward, and everything will be okay. They lose to the Bengals on Sunday, and they have the Patriots coming up. They'll lose that too. But they beat the Bengals, they'll beat the Patriots, they'll beat the Lions, split with the Ravens. And then I think it's really just coming down to the Ravens and Browns for the division moving forward. I'm really interested to seeing what Bengals team shows up on Sunday. And this isn't me hating. It's as simple as this. Who are the Bengals? We've seen them at their best, and we've seen them at their worst in back-to-back weeks. And as I've said before, I don't think that the Bengals are as good as what they were against the Ravens, and I damn sure know they're not as bad as what they were against the Jets. I think they're somewhere in between. So is somewhere in between who they were against the Ravens and the Jets, Kev, is that good enough to beat the Browns? If the Browns are even 75% of what we expect them to be, I don't know. I think they're pretty damn even at that point if that's the case. So we're going to see if the Bengals defense shows up as discombobulated as they looked against the Jets this past weekend. Cleveland's in good shape. But that's really what it's going to come down to. I think that the season's on the line on Sunday, really, for both teams. Like the Bengals are
them 2 wins in conference, man.
They're healthy.
That's why they got the upper hand, man. They got the upper hand on everybody,
especially because it's on the road. They got the Ravens win and the Steelers wins on the road,
right?
So if Cleveland loses on Sunday, I think their season's toast. I think right now it feels like it's toast, but we got to remind ourselves a year ago at this time, it felt like the Browns weren't going anywhere fast either. They had a couple bad games in the middle of the season, that horrible game against the Texans, that horrible game against the Raiders, like games that felt should have been the Browns. And it was like, oh, well, this is the same old Browns, a 500 team. And then all of a sudden that switch was flipped, and then there was no looking back from there. And I think that's really what this is around the time last year that the Browns were being counted out. This is around the time last year that the Browns really were kind of discombobulated a bit. I just think that it really comes down to if they can get their confidence back, they come back with all the distractions and beat Cincinnati, which I still think they're very capable of doing. I mean, Cincinnati, you fans talk a lot of smack. As much of a mess as the Browns are, and you're the home team and you're only a 2.5-point favorite, that doesn't say a whole lot about your team right there. So you're either down in the basement with the Browns, or the Browns are better than you're willing to give them credit for, however you want to view it. But the fact that as much of a mess as the Browns are, you're only a 2.5-point favorite at home, that says more about you than it does the Browns at this point. So I just want to make that clear. What do you think about that match? I think that the Browns lose on Sunday, the season's over.
I agree. It's do or die. It's do or die for the Browns this Sunday. They win, they're still alive. They lose this game, start getting ready for the NFL draft. And I feel that way about a lot of teams around the league. As a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, obviously I was super happy about the win over the Browns. And the biggest part that I was happy about was they were able to actually run the ball. And for the most part, they were able to protect Ben in the passing game. Like, yeah, Miles got some pressure and got a sack and everything like that, but that's what he does. You know what I'm saying? Like he's going to do that against a good offensive tackle. So that's what I'm happy about as a fan for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But kind of like how the Bengals had that big victory over the Ravens, and then they end up losing to the Jets the following week. Well, guess what? You got a big victory versus the Browns. You got the Bears on Monday Night Football. You can't allow that to happen. You have to go in there. You have to shut down their running game, and you have to confuse a rookie quarterback. The Steelers had the Bears on Monday Night Football. So you can't take a step forward with a win over the Browns and then take a step back with a loss to the Bears. You have to win this game versus the Bears. So the Steelers, they have the Bears, Lions, at Chargers, at Bengals. If the Steelers want to make the playoffs, they got to win 3 or 4. And they have to win the Bengals game. They have to. They can't lose to the Bengals. They have to win that game. If they lose that game, it's over for them. Now, just like the Browns, if they lose this game, it's over for them. And it's only going to be the Ravens and the Bengals.
So here's how I view it, too. The reason that Steelers lost was it was a big deal, but I'm going to say it's not, and here's why. When you play in a tough conference like the AFC North, you should always just hope for a split.
Yes.
To sit there and assume you're going to sweep your division opponents, that's not going to happen. It's not supposed to.
The last team to sweep.
It's capable of being done, but it's no one should plan on it. The reason that the Bengals are in better shape than the Browns, for one, they're a game ahead of them in the standings, yes, but when you talk about splitting, usually you lose on the road, you win at home.
Right.
Well, the Bengals have the upper hand right now because they got a win at Baltimore and a win at Pittsburgh. So, they're still, I would have to assume the Bengals will be favored over the Steelers when they play again. I'm telling you right now, the Bengals, they're a very good team, but they're not better than the Ravens. Would you assume the same result if they played again when they play again later in the season, Kev, the Steelers and the Ravens and the Bengals?
No.
And I still think the Ravens would be the favorite in that matchup.
Yeah,
even at Cincinnati.
I believe so. But the thing is, and I'm not trying to hate on the Bengals, but the Ravens were due for a loss. 66-yard field goal to beat the Lions. Lamar going completely Joe Montana against the Colts, throwing for 400 yards.
And the Chiefs, too. Remember that game?
Yeah, you can't play at the level that he was the entire season. You're going to have a stinker. You got to have a stinker. You're a human being. That's supposed to happen. So I just thought it was time for them to lose. Now, the fashion they lost, that's what people was like, whoa, hold on. You can lose. Hey, man, everybody loses a game. That's just the NFL. But to get blown out, to have the backups in the game at the start of the fourth quarter, nobody saw that.
Yeah, to the Bengals' credit, they played a horrible game Sunday, but they didn't get blown out.
Right, exactly.
If there's any saving grace to that game or there's any silver lining, it's the fact that, look, and offensively, that's who the Bengals are. That's, Joe Burrow, the mid, 250, 270 game. He's going to throw multiple touchdowns. That's who they are, Kev. That's what the offense is. So the offense really, although we're slow to start, that's who the Bengals are. They're slow to start offensively. They're going to have a lot of highs and a lot of lows. People can get mad at me all you want. Your quarterback has to stop throwing interceptions in clutch moments of ball games. He threw the interception against Green Bay when you were deep into Green Bay territory. Your team was in position to win it. You throw an interception, your team goes on to lose. In position with the lead late in the fourth quarter against the Jets, your quarterback throws an interception regardless if it was a batted pass or not. It's an interception. You can't turn the ball. You can't afford to turn the ball over there, and your quarterback did it. If that was the Browns uniforms with the Bengals roster, that quarterback would be destroyed. But because he's everyone's lover boy around here, everyone just lets him off with the pass. I ain't going to let him off with the pass. Stop throwing interceptions. Burrow's not making good decisions in clutch moments of games. And that has to be a concern because, Kev, there are going to be a lot of close games moving forward.
It's the NFL.
Are you going to beat the Ravens in a close game? I'm not trying to diminish the blowing out of the Ravens, but when you beat the Ravens on the day that they basically threw in they threw in the towel. They gave up. That's not why you were better that day. You're still a good team. I'm not taking anything away from that. But you saw it. The Ravens just said, forget it. We're done. What? This just isn't our day. And that happens. So I just think that's something you got to be concerned about. The Bengals in close games. How's Joe Burrow going to perform? He has the stat line to back up having a great game, but we do that. Baker had 300 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Chargers. And what do? We bash him because, he had a chance to lead his team down the field to victory, and he didn't do it. He threw for 300-plus yards and multiple touchdowns against the Chiefs. No, what do? We don't sit there and say his stat line was great. We sit there and say, yeah, but he had a chance to lead the Browns down the field to win a game against the Chiefs, and guess what? He didn't, and we rip him for it. Well, Burrow's numbers were great against the Packers, but he couldn't lead his team down the field in overtime in Green Bay territory to win the game. He turned it over. I'm playing by your rules, people. That's how we do.
The kicker missed.
No, he turned it over.
The kicker missed.
That's fine, but in the next possession down, he throws the interception.
Yeah, for sure. The kicker missed, and the kicker thought he made it too. That was hilarious.
Oh, trust me, there was a lot of blame to go around for why the Bengals lost. But again, the quarterback, It's what you get them into that territory, let the kicker lose the game. You don't be why they lose the game. And you threw the interception that then set the Green Bay back in position to go down the field and win that ball game.
Horrible. I don't know what they was thinking.
So I'm just saying, I'm just trying to put, we
talk about miscommunication on AJ Green and Kyler Murray. That was the biggest miscommunication I ever seen in my life. Yikes, that was bad.
Mm-hmm.
So knuckler.
Yeah, Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. David Shaw, for that dumb comment right there, you're going to wait on hold a little bit. He said he did let the kicker lose the game. No, he threw an interception. What is so hard about that to understand? When you are marching the ball down the field and you're in Green Bay territory, you threw the interception to prevent your team from being able to win the game right there in Green Bay territory. Yes, the kicker that they drafted, very high, by the way, they drafted, he missed some kicks. Anyways, that's a Green Bay game. You're making me go off on something as stupid as 2 weeks ago, but Shaw, you don't get any smarter throughout the weeks. I'm telling you, I don't know what's so hard to understand about that.
Well, there goes the good karma between you and Shaw. It was so good
because he says stupid things like that, like, oh, it's not his the quarterback. You could throw interceptions in overtime. That's fine. We got to put it's the kicker's job to win you the game. Yes, it's the kicker's job to make field goals, but it's your quarterback's job to not turn the ball over. Trust me, I know. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. I know how the rules work. Ay. Oh my goodness. 518-1410. Is it anyway? Who's on 2?
Oh man,
this might be him. Shaw, is this you?
Gone.
All right,
we got Ron on 4.
Ron, how are you, sir?
Hey, Justin.
Geez, here we go. It's the trifecta. Oh my goodness.
Hey. Now, I'm just gonna say a few things. Two. Happy birthday, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't feel so happy right now. My blood pressure's boiling. What's that?
I mean, me and you can gel, but then we disagree on some things. But I just want to say about like the OBJ deal when they traded for him. Oh man, you kept saying he's a number 1 receiver. He's top. He's one of the best. And now you're like, get him out of town.
Well, Ron, let me ask you. Was he a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL when the Browns got him? Yes, you don't even need to think about it. Yes, that's not.
I really don't think he was. I think he had.
He was. I know why he was, because he was the highest paid receiver in football at that time, and you're not paying a non-top 5 receiver that type of money. OBJ was the top 5, arguably best receiver in football at that time. You can make that argument. The Browns they did not make a mistake getting him. They're making a mistake by keeping him. That's the difference.
Yeah, that's true. Are you going to the game this weekend?
Heck no, Ron. For whatever reason, the Bengals are acting like people really want to see that matchup so bad. The tickets are $250. I ain't spending that much.
I think they want to see you down there and recognize you, and then take you in the bathroom and give you a little incentive,
Why are you making that weird, Ron? Why you got to say weird things?
Because, hey, this show they can hear it in Cincinnati. So you dogged the Bengals pretty bad, and if
they
you went
dogged
down
themselves. They lost to the Jets. I didn't dog them. They're the ones that lost to the Jets, not me.
I would wear a Halloween mask or something down, like a Bobby Valentine mustache and sunglasses or something, just if you went to the game, so you wouldn't get roughed up. But I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday. You know what I mean? And I know we have our things, and we've met, and you know me, and I'm not that bad of a guy, and I know you're a great guy, and I didn't know if everybody knew that it was your birthday, so you might get some wishes.
You know his address too?
No.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Right.
But Ron, thank you for that. I do appreciate it. Thanks, man.
All right. And in closing, okay.
Here we go.
All right. Okay, my Bucks took a bite there at the end last week, and I mean they got a bye this week. And last year they were 7-5. Okay, they made a heck of a run and just pulled it off. So do you think actually the Green Bay Packers are the best team in the NFC? Truthfully,
No, I'm still going to go with the Bucs. I know the Bucs are kind of up and down at times, but look, it's an older roster. You're going to have that. The Bucs are still the best team in the NFC. I think that the Packers are playing the best in the NFC right now, but I don't think the Packers are the best in the NFC. To go back, you had Jason Fitz on earlier. I'm going to use his theory. If you asked me to put money on one team to win the NFC right now, I like the way the Cowboys are playing. Don't get me wrong. I love the way the Packers and Aaron Rodgers are playing, but ultimately, and even the Rams, even with them going to get adding up to the pieces on their defense, I'm still going to put all my money on the Buccaneers right now because they're the ones that have Tom Brady.
Okay. You didn't have to say that because I wish you happy birthday.
Oh, trust me, Ron, I don't say anything nice to you on purpose. I promise you that much.
Hey, I want you to have a great day, and I love the show, and you know I do. And I got some invitations. I'm going to call in one day. I can do a few of your callers, and I can, like a Galliano, whatever his name is. I can do
Frank Caliendo.
Holy crap, Ron! What did you just say? That you said Galliendo? You mean Frank Caliendo?
Well, yeah, I mean I can imitate a few of your callers.
You can't even pronounce the names of the callers, and Frank Caliendo's never called in.
Do Steve from Springboro.
Yeah, Ron. Before you go, that's what I want for my birthday. Do Steve from Springboro. Can you do? I can give you the music. Steve from Springboro. Ready? Go.
All right, dude. I mean, that Pop Warner team down in Cincinnati, I'll tell you what, that David Shaw, he's on the hamburger list. So, I mean, after that...
Ron just went legend. Ron with the win.
Ron just went legend on him. Oh.
Ron, that was actually really good. So from now on, Ron, your name is Galliendo. He is the Galliendo of the Justin Kidder Show with Kev Nash.
Oh, my goodness.
He did the bark was pretty good.
That was good.
I wasn't expecting it to be that good. I mean, at
the drop of a dime, too.
I mean, he was Ron, do you just sit at home and practice being Steve from Springboro? Oh, that's Shaw. He's on the hamburger list, dude. That was really good. Good for you, Ron. I don't compliment you often, but good for you. That was great. It's the Justin Kidder Show with Kev Nash. Holy moly. That was pretty good.
That was awesome. That was good.
Oh, yeah.
I'm blown away.
And he made up for it for butchering Frank Caliendo's name. Galliendo. I'm like, what? I thought you knew where he was going with that, but aye. All right, folks, we'll be back in a moment. Kenner and Kev, don't go anywhere.
Fight for what's right. Fight for your life.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be partly cloudy, a high near 48. Tonight will also be partly cloudy, a low near 28. And tomorrow will be partly cloudy, a high near 45. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only two places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kidder Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane, making buying propane easy since 1952, offering budget billing and pre-buy options. Find out more at culletpropane.com.
For the ones who get going when the going gets tough. And the ones who know we're tougher together. For the Pathfinders breaking new ground. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as fast access to experts and 24/7 customer support. Because we know you have people depending on you, so you can always depend on us. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
From city streets to back roads. From road warrior to carpooler. There are some things you can always count on. Like the reliability, durability, and power of DieHard, America's most trusted auto battery. No matter where your journey takes you, count on DieHard to get you started on the road ahead. Available at your local Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest stores.
Hi, I'm Sales Manager Jason High at Germain Honda Beaver Creek, proud recipient of the prestigious President's Award. We are your local Honda dealer, and we invite you to see our newly renovated state-of-the-art facility. You'll be amazed at our selection, and remember, all new Hondas come with a lifetime powertrain warranty. Visit us at Route 35, just east of 675, conveniently located near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I'll see you soon.
Your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits is also the home for value. Frickers! Frickers Everyday Values begin on Monday with boneless frickin' chicken wings. Tuesday offers traditional frickin' chicken wings. On Wednesday, enjoy a steak dinner. And on Thursday, frickin' chicken chunks. Kids eat free every day. And your favorite events are on TVs everywhere. The home for Everyday Values is the home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers!
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Hey Buckeye fans, as the official wing sponsor of your Ohio State Buckeyes, Roosters is giving away 12 trips for two to this year's Buckeye Bowl game. Each trip comes complete with airfare, hotel, gift bag, and 2 tickets to the big game. One bowl prize winner will be chosen each week, along with other cool Roosters weekly prizes. So register every week at roosterswings.com. Roosters, a fun casual joint and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Official contest rules at roosterswings.com.
Student loan debt has been steadily increasing, affecting approximately 44 million Americans. The choices that they made now own them.
You've agreed to pay it back. When you don't, give me your pound of flesh now.
Student loan borrowers have less rights, less protections.
I know people that are planning to die with that debt.
Watch a new documentary from Ramsey Solutions, Borrowed Future, How Student Loans Are Killing the American Dream on Amazon Prime Video, Apple TV, or Google Play.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
This is Education Matters with Ohio Education Association President Scott Damaro.
This is National School Lunch Week, a time to thank the education support professionals who keep our kids fed and ready to focus on their learning. Now more than ever, they have gone above and beyond to care for our kids, adapting to the challenges of the pandemic to meet all our students' needs.
Education Matters, brought to you by the Ohio Education Association.
Fever is the leading symptom of COVID and the flu, and the only way to reliably detect it is with an accurate thermometer. Be vigilant and be accurate with the Exergen Temporal Scanner, whose accuracy has been proven in more than 100 clinical studies. Don't rely on non-contact thermometers. They are proven to be inaccurate and will not reliably detect a fever that might mean COVID. Be sure to seek medical advice at the first sign of fever. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Did you know that United Healthcare helps connect you to doctors and therapists with 24/7 access to virtual care?
So I could have therapy from my couch?
Yep.
Or a doctor appointment from my car?
If you wanted to.
Wait, you're right. I don't even like when people see me sing in the car. Couch appointment it is.
Virtual visits are just one of the ways United Healthcare helps connect you to better health. Learn more at uhc.com. Plan benefits may vary.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty. You want more local local content from Dayton's ESPN radio station 1410 Wing AM? Make sure you subscribe to the WING 1410 Dayton YouTube channel, where you can watch all your local shows live or go back and rewatch previous episodes of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, the Keith Byers Show, Talking Out Loud with Sully, and more.
Well, Ron's been a caller for, let's see, since I've started back in 2015. I mean, he's been a long-time caller.
Mm-hmm.
And it took him 6 years to finally make me laugh with him and not at him. If you missed it, so Steve from Springboro. By the way, we had to put out the bat signal last week to get Steve from Springboro to call in. Steve, you know I love you. True American dude. I know you say you listen every day, but like there are Bengals fans who are a little upset with you for not calling in after the Browns lost. And I'm just like, come on. David Shaw, he talks a lot of smack about you. A lot of Bengals fans do. David Shaw's not even a Bengals fan. I don't know what Shaw's beef is with you. I don't know if you flirted with his chick or something. I don't know what happened, but like he don't like you for some reason. You're such a lie. I don't get it. So we'd like to hear from you because they're saying that you only call after Browns wins, and that's disappointing because I don't know how many more wins are on the schedule after this week, of course. I don't know how many more wins are on the schedule with the way the Browns are playing, but I do know Steve from Springboro has never been an OBJ fan, so you know he's not happy right now with what's transpiring right now. So Steve from Springboro, the bat signal is out to you. But if you missed it, here's Ron doing his, again, it's not Frank Galliendo, it's Caliendo, Ron. Come on now. If you missed it, here's Ron doing his impersonation, I guess, of Steve from Springboro.
Hey, I want you to have a great day, and I love the show, and you know I do. And I got some invitations. I'm going to call in one day. I can do a few of your callers, and I can, like a Galliango, whatever his name is. I can do
Frank Caliendo. Holy crap, Ron! What did you just say? That you said Galliendo? You mean Frank Caliendo?
Well, yeah, I mean I can imitate a few of your callers.
You can't even pronounce the names of the callers, and Frank Caliendo has never called in.
Do Steve from Springboro.
Yeah, Ron. Before you go, that's what I want for my birthday. Do Steve from Springboro. Can you do? I'll even give you the music. Steve from Springboro, ready, go.
All right, dude. I mean, that Pop Warner team down in Cincinnati, I'll tell you what, that David Shaw, he's on the hamburger list. So, I mean, after that...
Ron just went legend.
Ron with the win.
Ron just went legend on him. Oh! That's so good.
So, Steve from Springboro, the challenge has been sent out. Like, you have to do a Ron impersonation now. But no, the challenge is just strictly Bengals fans want to hear from you after that loss. That's all. So that's all. But 518-1410. Is this Shaw?
Mine too.
Shaw, is this you?
Yeah, it's me.
All right. I figured I made you wait long enough. But you say foolish things. That's what you get.
Oh, I didn't say anything foolish. You're the one's foolish.
You're the one that's foolish.
Oh, goodness.
Hey, here we go.
And here we go. No, I'm not going to. The hater mic is here. It's a warning. It's a warning to you that you can only say smart things on this show. All right, because someone has to.
I always say smart things on the show.
Aye. All right, man. I know you've been waiting on hold. You want to talk about the college football playoff and all that fun stuff. Look, but tonight there's not. And like I said, every year when we sit here and talk about this playoff, we know who teams 1 through 3 are. Maybe not the exact order, but we know who the top 3 teams are, and then we usually debate who the 4th team is. There is no clear cut. I have no clue. We don't even know who number 2 is. Like, who is number 2 team? I said Ohio State. You could put Alabama there. I think it's 1A, 1B at that point. Michigan State deserves it with their resume with that big win against Michigan. That might be more of a recency bias thing, because if Michigan State would have beat Michigan 3 weeks ago, maybe we're not propping them up as much right now. If they, you know what I mean? Like, I have no clue. There's so much to toss up there, but Cincinnati's the wild card and how they're going to factor them in.
I agree with all that. My issue here is Oregon still beat Ohio State on the field, and I understand all your takes on that. Ohio State's looking better than Oregon right now, but if we start taking away on the field issues, then why do we even play the game?
So should Texas A&M be in the top 4?
No, they already have 2 losses. Come on, be realistic here.
Well, come on, be realistic. Look at who Oregon lost to. Ohio State's only losses to a ranked Oregon team. Oregon, yes, they have the best win in Ohio State, but they have one of the worst losses. They have the worst loss of all the teams in the playoff conversation.
But there's still only 1 loss, and that's the same as Ohio State. And when you put the 2 side by side on looking at them on the paper, Oregon beat them on the field.
So, but that's the thing. Ohio State has the best loss of the 2. Like Oregon's best win, is actually, that's the best loss.
Here's my problem. Me personally, yes, I completely agree with you. But what is the benefit for the college football playoff right now, putting Bama and Ohio State in the first 4 right now?
They're the best teams.
It's going to play out. It's going to play out. If both teams win out, they're in. It doesn't matter. So what's the benefit right now to put them in?
If Oklahoma wins out, but basically what you're saying is if Oklahoma wins out and Oregon wins out, Cincinnati wins out, can't put Ohio State in over Oregon.
Yeah.
No, that ain't going to happen. We've already seen Penn State beat Ohio State in the past. Penn State wins a Big Ten championship, but they're still sitting at home watching Ohio State. You know that ain't going to work.
I completely agree with you from the way I see things, because Ohio State's the best team in the Big Ten. They're not losing the rest of the way. Quite honestly, I think this has got 2014 written all over it again when you guys won it the first year of the college football playoff. That's just my personal opinion. For ratings purposes and everything else that goes on with the college football playoff and the rankings, and that's how this works as well. You put Bama and Ohio State 5 and 6, and you put UC 7. What's everyone doing for the next week? They are losing their mind, and that's setting everything up later later on in the week with the weeks to come. Like Ohio State still has Michigan State. Ohio State still has that game that doesn't exist to me anymore, November 27th. They still have other games to go. And Bama still has Auburn. Bama still has Arkansas. Bama still has more games to come as well. You're setting it up so you've got the viewers coming in every week. UC fans would be pissed. Ohio State fans would be pissed. And, of course, Bama fans would be pissed. What I see them doing this week is Georgia at 1, Oklahoma at 2, Michigan State at 3, and then probably UC at 4.
Oklahoma's the worst of all the undefeated. Oklahoma's the worst of all the undefeated teams.
Okay, flip them however you want, but those undefeated teams, I think, are going to be the 4 in the playoffs. Put Michigan State at 2, UC at 3, and Oklahoma at 4. Those are the 4 playoff teams in my eyes, just because I think they're going to go ratings purposes. That's just the way I feel about it.
That's not a bad idea. Like if we're going to go like conspiracy theory, like what fan bases would go completely nuclear if they weren't in the top 4? Would be Ohio State and Bama. Like if the UC fan base went nuclear, nobody would care. Nobody would tune in. But if Ohio State is, people will go bonkers. And then, so
we got
and they'll probably put my Wolverines probably around 12. But
what happened on Sunday? Since we're talking about the Wolverines.
Harbaugh. He put JJ, the biggest drive of the season, the most important drive of the season. He puts the freshman in over a guy who threw for 300. Over a guy who thrown for 385 yards and 2 touchdowns. And supposedly the best quarterback on your team, and the guy who you've been riding all year long because of his leadership and the way he manages the football game. He doesn't turn the ball over, yada, yada, yada. Most important drive of the season to this point, you put the freshman in the game.
Yeah, I think he started that controversy right then and there. Like the QB controversy, it was already bubbling because the guy is like super talented and everything like that. And he threw a touchdown in that game, right?
He did early in the game, but that's what they've been doing with McNamara, with JJ all year long. They've been bringing him in. I don't like it personally, but I get what they were doing. They didn't want to lose him to the transfer portal, so I understand it. So they brought him in. They had sets for him and stuff like that. But he just fumbled the ball, and the dude kicked the ball out of the bounds the drive before. So you're going to put him right back in. The most important after we hold Michigan State to a 3-and-out, we get the ball back at the 48-yard line. We're up 3. You can bury Sparty right now, and you put McCarthy in. Most important drive of the season to this point, and you put the freshman in. Come on, man. Harbaugh, and he's got to go. He's got to go.
Actually, all he did was earn himself another contract extension. You know them boosters love not winning the big one.
Unfortunately, you're probably correct. Unfortunately, you are probably correct, especially if he goes 10-2, loses to Sparty and the game that doesn't exist to me, and somehow pulls the upset at Penn State and goes 10-2. Oh, yeah, he's getting a contract extension and probably back up to $7.5 million a year again.
I'll just remind everybody Mel Tucker went to my high school.
I'll just remind you, Mel Tucker's going to LSU.
I don't care where he goes. He went to my high school.
I think he just got to Michigan State. I don't think he's going anywhere.
I don't think he's going to LSU either. I don't think he's going to the SEC anytime soon.
If I was him, I stay at Michigan State and I take that payday that he just deserved.
Oh yeah, he about to get a nice.
He'll take that interview. He'll flirt.
Oh yeah, he'll got to get that raise.
He'll make Michigan State feel like he's about to bounce.
Exactly. Right. He'll flirt with it to get the raise. I completely agree with that.
And think about all those dudes from Georgia that he helped recruit that aren't on the field right now. Transfer portal.
And you have it right, and you have it already moving as it is now, and you've got 2-0 over Harbaugh. No, you have it caked right now.
Or Michigan State will say, "You can go," and then they'll go get our dude over here, Luke Fickell. Yeah. I mean, there's that aspect. But again, is Michigan State that bad of a job that everyone's looking to take the next big thing? I mean, D'Antonio set up shop there for a while and was right. I don't think Michigan State's that bad of a job.
The only reason I don't think it technically is either, but the only thing that who has stayed there that's done anything other than D'Antonio? No, but anybody else has left.
But most coaches will say, if you can get paid and you can win there, why would you leave? Because most coaches leave because they feel like they can't win there, which, by the way, that's the SEC. If you're not Alabama or Kirby Smart, you're not winning in the SEC. I have no clue why Lane Kiffin, why Leach, and why why all these coaches go to the SEC outside of the obvious reasons being money and resources.
Because they want to coach against the best.
But that's the thing. When you coach against the best, though, you shoot yourselves in the foot every single year. Because I'd rather be Dabo Swinney in the ACC where you're the I know they're having a down year, but that's not the norm for them.
Right.
So I'd rather be Dabo Swinney in the ACC. I'd rather be Ryan Day in the Big Ten. I'd rather be whoever finally takes over USC and has a chance to establish, or maybe it's, obviously Oregon right now in the Pac-12. But I have no clue the obsession with having to get to the SEC just to cannibalize one another, because there's only two teams that get the benefit of the doubt with the loss, and that's Georgia and Alabama. That's it, because no one else mattered. If you can't beat Alabama, you're not going to make the playoff to begin with. So I just have no clue the obsession with going there. I don't understand why you don't see more influx into the Big Ten of coaches. You have a better shot of winning. Mel Tucker's proof of that. Already carving a niche. He goes to the SEC. You'll be a 2 to 3 loss team in there every single year. To where Ohio State, you might lose to them, but that might be your only loss, and you'll have a chance to make something of your program. The West is where coaches need to go, to be honest with you.
The way the season playing out, if Sparty has a great showing versus the Buckeyes and still lose and only have one loss, they could still make the college football playoff. It's potential. Anything. Hey, man, anything's on the table this season. Everything's there. We're talking about a non-Power 5 team making the college football playoff. Everything's on the table.
Shaw, I cut you off just because we're out of time. Are you really one of those conspiracy theory people? Tonight on Unsolved Mysteries.
I used to be terrified of that show, by the way.
Yeah, because I thought the damn murderer was outside my window every time. People talk about all the scary movies growing up. To me, for whatever reason, when I'd beat my parents and make me go to bed, I'd hear them watching Law and Order in the next room. The Law and Order song scared the hell out of me. But Unsolved Mysteries was terrifying. So tonight on Unsolved Mysteries, tune in to find out who the top 4 in the college football playoffs are. It's not about the 4 best teams. It's about, an unsolved mystery. I mean, I don't get no. 4 best: Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia. Boom. 4. You want to put Cincinnati there to make them feel pretty fine. They need more makeup. Okay. I'm sorry, they do. You can't put makeup on a pig and all of a sudden it's hot. Cincinnati, you're like the movie Babe. You're interesting, but you're not the real deal. Let's just stop. You beat Notre Dame, fine. Notre Dame's nobody in my eyes right now either. So it is what it is. Oregon, great job. You beat Ohio State. That doesn't mean you get to be ranked ahead of Ohio State.
So you got to pick one. You got to pick one. You got to pick one to be in that 4th spot. UC or Oregon.
Michigan State. Michigan State.
That wasn't on the list, but okay.
But I don't think Oregon, with the bad loss they have, and Cincinnati with the nobodies they've played, should deserve to be at that fourth spot. 5 and 6, fine. I do got to give Tim a shout out because he wanted to make sure you screen. He says tonight's college football playoff: Georgia 1, Michigan State 2, Oregon 3, Bama 4, Cincy 5, Ohio State 6. If you're going to put Bama at 4, you might as well put Ohio State at 6.
Bama got to be behind Ohio State.
You can't justify Bama in front of Cincy and then Cincy in front of Ohio State.
Bama has to be behind Ohio State.
I feel Bama, Ohio State are a package deal. Like, I don't care who's in front of the other, but they have to be side by side. If they're 5 and 6, fine. If they're 3 and 4, fine. If they're 2 and 3, fine. If there's 8 and 9, which won't happen, fine. But I will be irate. I don't care if it's the first poll that means nothing. Screw you, anybody who thinks Alabama's resume is better than Ohio State's. It's not.
That's why they need to be behind Ohio State. Their resume isn't as good as Ohio State, and their loss is worse than Ohio State. They need to be behind Ohio State.
And that's why I'm saying, like, if Alabama's in the top 4, Ohio State's in the top 4 because they're the same damn team. If Alabama's out of the top 4, then Ohio State needs to be out of the top 4 as well. I'll applaud the committee, however they do this, as long as Alabama and Ohio State are a package deal, because you can't tell me that Alabama's number 2 and Ohio State's 6. Like that, no.
Right.
You can't say Michigan State deserves to be in front of Ohio State, but not in front of Alabama. No.
Right.
So either do what's right and go Georgia 1, go, if you want to put Michigan State 2 and Cincinnati 3 and Oregon 4, that means that's actually probably the right way. If you want to go off of resumes and who's deserving, I would go that route. All right, because Oregon gets 4 because they have the best win over Ohio State. Cincinnati gets 3 because they have the second best win and they're undefeated. Michigan State has the third best win. I think Michigan's the third best win there. They go number 2 and they're undefeated they should be number 2 because they're undefeated in the Big Ten. That's why they should be there. And then Alabama and Ohio State at 5 and 6. I'm fine with that. Or Oklahoma, but Oklahoma's not good. They're okay. They're solid. But
I got Oklahoma. I wouldn't mind having Oklahoma at 3. I wouldn't mind have Georgia, Sparty, Oklahoma.
Now, Tim says Bama should be 4 because they win the national championship. Tim, I like your rankings, but we got to stop doing this. Isn't about last year or the year before or the year before that. Like, it has nothing to do with that. Tim, like, it's not about that. It's strictly about this season. And the committee, I'll give the committee that. The committee's never let a team in that shouldn't be in. Has there ever been a team that's made it that you feel shouldn't have been in? They experimented at the beginning. They punished TCU at the beginning because they didn't have they were punishing the conference really. But I don't think they, outside of that year and the team that they put in, that I don't think Ohio State should have been in that year. I'm glad they were. They won the national championship. I don't think Ohio State deserved to be in that year.
See, I'm opposite. I think they deserve to be in that year, but I don't think they deserve to be in the year that they lost to Clemson 31-0 and lost to Penn State.
Well, I don't care about the result in the playoff because it's about what you did to get.
I was just saying, like, that's the year that everybody remembers.
But they did deserve to be in. They had 4 top 10 wins. So they had the loss to Penn State, but they were the only team of the top 4 that year. I know they lost 31-0, but they beat Nebraska. They beat Michigan State.
Like, everybody remembers that year.
Yeah, but like that. So like that year, they actually had you couldn't keep them out because they had 4 top 10 wins that year, with the only loss being against Penn State. They ran the table, blah, blah, blah. That year that they made it, they had the average to bad loss against Virginia Tech or whatever it was, and they pummeled Wisconsin in the Big Ten title game. We're out of time. I'm excited about this. I love the college football playoff talk. And so tomorrow I'm pretty jacked. I have no clue what the 4 is going to look like tonight. None. No clue. And I guess that's a fun thing. So there's that. So
dog.
All right, folks, have a great night. We'll do this again tomorrow. Tim, and by the way, I see, and I get why Tim and others say Alabama's just, the reputation. But then again, I'm counting on the reputation of Ohio State meaning something too. So Tim, you're not wrong, but he says great show. So thank you. By the way, was that Steve from Springboro that called?
It was not.
Oh, Steve from Springboro, come on. We better hear from you tomorrow. Folks, have a great night. Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Alabama 3, Michigan State 4. That's how I want it to be. But, by the way, I will say this. I guarantee, I don't care how it shapes out. I guarantee you this, folks, as we say goodbye, the Bearcats are not in the top 4 tonight. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. And if they're not in it, that means, Kev, you can't be on the show tomorrow.
Amazing how that's going to work out for you.
Have a good night.
Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
We've been expecting you.
Right here on 1410 ESPN.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of